Good evening. Welcome to the August 15th, 2019 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Just a few things before we get started. The first thing is if all of you who are here tonight could do us a favor and silence or turn off your cell phones because they interfere with our recording equipment. In addition, if you are inclined to speak to one another in the audience, if you can go to the hallway to speak rather than speaking in the auditorium, we would greatly appreciate that as well because that also interferes with our recording equipment. The third thing I want to mention is that we have a lot of people here on a particular application tonight, and I understand that, and we want to give you all an opportunity to speak. However, we do have a time limit when we have a full house, which is 3 minutes. So it's going to be a 3-minute limit in terms of your comments tonight, but I believe that this application is going to continue, so it won't be your opportunity to speak to us. It won't be the only opportunity for you to speak with us. And also, you can always submit written comments as long as the public hearing is open. Lastly, I want to read the emergency exit information so everyone is aware of it, which I do pretty much at the start of every meeting. In case of emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Please do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall. And with that, we will get started with the agenda.
We have some adjournments and changes to the calendar this evening, starting with number 9, Sandland Corp., located at 585 Middle Line Highway, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-23-1-1, to be re-advertised for February 20th of 2020.
Okay, it's a re-add, so we don't have to do a vote.
Number 10, Andy's Inc., located at 15A Oakhurst Road in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-190-1-29, adjourn to 9/5.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Application in the matter of KAARP Management Group, LLC, for a property located at 17 Ludlow Lane in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-346-1-10. Move that we adjourn that until 10/3/19.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 13 on tonight's agenda, the Patricia A. Bencardino Trust for a property located at 88 Peconic Hills Drive in North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-33-1-80. I move that we adjourn that for all purposes till 9/19/19.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
On the decision calendar, Henry and Loretta Viglianti, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-382-1-56. Move that we adjourn that decision until 9/19.
Second.
Do we want to do 9/19 or
9/5?
9/5?
Oh, 9/5, you said?
Yes,
Okay, I'm
just in
sorry.
case we get
Yep,
the
okay.
referral.
Okay,
All right.
so I amend that to 9/5.
Okay. And we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And the next two applications, which are Mark Levine and Mariana Luce for Suffolk County Tax Maps 900-43-1-38. I move that we continue the written submission period until 9/4/19.
Yeah, I think we got to reopen, so.
We gotta reopen for
Start
that?
with a motion to reopen.
Motion to reopen those two applications.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We're reopened.
I have a further motion, another motion to extend the written submission period until 9/4/19.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a further motion that we now put that on for decision on 9/19 of 19.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
The application of the matter of 625 Butter Lane Homestead LLC has been withdrawn. And Maria and Michael Rothstein, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-345-2-1. I move we adjourn that decision until 9/5.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
1 second. Do you want us to have people grab chairs and form like another line? There's a lot of people standing.
Sure.
If anybody wants to grab a chair, you can just,
Yep.
you know,
Feel free if you prefer to sit.
it's going to be better than sitting in the aisles and
Or we
People
can
will
sit in
get
the
up.
hallway and call everybody in.
You could do that too. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
We just can't block the aisles, that's the only thing.
Yep.
Yep.
Can't remember the last time we've had to take out the chairs. Wow.
All right, moving on to tonight's agenda. Minor variance review number 1 for property 102 North Road LLC. Property is located at 102 North Road in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-191-3-34. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 33011, Residential District Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal front yard setback of 35 feet where 40 feet is required for a proposed 2-story dwelling, and any other relief necessary.
board has jurisdiction.
Okay, since this is a minor variance, there'll be no hearing, and I'll have a decision at the end of our meeting today.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 2 on tonight's calendar, number 9 Hobart Lane LLC. Property is located at 9 Hobart Lane in Queog, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-383-2-13. The applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-11, Residential District Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a total side yard setback of 45.8 feet, where 60 feet is required for a proposed renovation and additions to an existing dwelling, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Guess that's
Since
Cornelius.
this is a minor as well, there'll be no public hearing, but we're still waiting on the con board, so we'll put it on for a decision for our next meeting, September 5th.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, moving on to the new application section of the agenda, number 3, Thomas R. Stahecki Living Trust. Property is located at 1205 Majors Path in North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-78-1-20.1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-117, change, as it relates to Town Code Section 330-167B3, specific types of variances, to permit a change from one non-conforming use to another, to wit, from a pre-existing non-conforming use for the receipt of natural organic wastes, trees, brush, stumps, and other clearing debris, to a 120-unit family condominium use with a 2-story clubhouse and recreational area, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. We'll pass that to Al.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York.
Also for the applicant, counsel to the applicant, Jacob Turner, 67 Clinton Road, Garden City, New York.
As the legal advertisement indicates, we are here to change one non-conforming use to another at 1205 Majors Path. We represent the applicant, which is Engel Berman. We do not represent the trust, so if anybody has complaints with the trust and their operation of the property, you'll have to take it to Mr. Stahecki. We do have his authorization, however, to go forward with this application. Again, the application is to grant a...
Excuse me, Dick, you just speak up a little bit because some people can't hear, including myself. Thank you.
Again, this application is to grant a certificate of occupancy to change from one non-conforming use to another. This board is specifically authorized under the code, under 330-167B3, to make that decision. The standards for those decisions are that it be beneficial to the neighborhood, and that if you find it beneficial to the neighborhood...
Folks, we're not going to have comment. If you need to allow people to speak, whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, people are entitled to speak in connection with an application. Greatly appreciate your allowing that to occur.
The second part of B3 allows you to put certain safeguards and conditions on any grant of your approval. And again, we're looking to go from the current use, which is, really a fertilizer, compost mulch production facility, to 120-unit residential use. The property is 20 acres in size, and I just note that that equates to 6 units per acre. There is precedent for that type of density that's been given by this board on these types of applications, and there's precedent in the code for 8 units per acre. I'd also note that, along with the current use, that this was the municipal dump in the town of Southampton for the east side of the canal, starting in 1938 through 1963, when it moved across the street. From 62, 63 forward, it has been used in its current use. There's a certificate of occupancy issued by the building inspector that shows that. The material from that municipal dump is still stored on site. It has to be remediated through the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We've been through a little bit of the process with them. We have a handle on what needs to be done. It's a gigantic, expensive job, but something that the applicant is willing to undertake. So when we sit here today, the property has 2 significant issues. One, that its current use as a fertilizer, compost, mulching plant, and the second, that its prior use as a dump, and most of the remnants of that dump still exist on the property.
That's not what the CO says. It doesn't say mulching.
It doesn't say that. It says that it's allowed to
Receipt.
take
It says the
material.
right.
I understand. I'm just talking about how I think it's used today and
Okay.
and the impact that's made. The use that we're proposing is 120-unit multifamily use, is consistent with the residential use on the underlying zoning. However, it's the issue of density that will bring us here today. You've seen our site plan application. As you probably have noted, there are more than 50 parking spaces on site, which makes the application a Type 1 under the Local Environmental Quality Review Act of the Code. So within the town, it is classified as a Type 1. From the state regulations, it would not. But since it does qualify as a Type 1 under the town code, that's how you have to proceed through this process. It's our understanding, with discussion with staff, that the application has begun the coordination process, and we're coordinating with town agencies that have regulation over the application, and the state and county entities that also do that. Through your code, the Environmental Quality 157 section of your code, the planning board is a clearinghouse to determine lead agency status. My experience is that the planning board will take lead agency status on this application. We've also been in touch with staff, and it appears that they will issue a positive declaration, which will make us prepare an environmental impact statement. That's going to take a long time, as you guys are probably aware, with these larger applications that come through. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background, but I think it makes little sense to present an argument tonight on a site plan that will most likely undergo some changes, maybe significant changes, as we work through that, the secret process with the planning board. So at the end of tonight, what I would ask for is a 6-month adjournment to allow us to get to the planning board, engage in the secret process. I suspect it's going to take longer, but I think that that's a pretty good control date for us, and I'll keep the board advised, although you'll be an involved agency and be getting copies of all the documents that are submitted. So at the end of the hearing tonight, that will be my application for the adjournment. We can answer any questions, although I think it's probably premature in the process. This is really the application that we had to bring to kick off this process, and I suspect you're not going to see us for 6 months to a year.
Right. So there's going to be, for all of you who are here about this application, there's going to be a thorough environmental review of this application. That environmental review will be handled by the lead agency. The lead agency will probably be the town planning board. And so you may have, many of your comments that you may want to talk to us about tonight may have to do with what will be part of the environmental review. And so, while we're here to listen to your concerns and anything you have to say, we very well may not be the lead agency for that purpose. So I just want you to understand that. But what we have before us is we have an application from changing one nonconforming use to another. And obviously, a lot of people in the community, all of you who are here, want to talk to us about what your concerns related to the application, and we're here to listen. But I also want to mention that it is a different type of application than applications we typically hear. So we more often than not hear area variance applications. This is a application that deals with a special section in our code that allows a property that has an existing use that doesn't conform with the code to go from one non-conforming use to another non-conforming use. And it is a different set of standards than it would be for an area variance or a use variance.
Additional standards.
Additional standards. So in any case, I just wanted to make sure you understood that as well, because it can be a little bit confusing. But basically, we have to follow the law. We have to listen to what everyone has to say, and there will be a thorough review of this application. And so this is just really the beginning of that. Okay. I don't think I have. Let me see. I don't. Yeah, I think I really want to wait in terms of questions until we hear from people from the public, unless there's anything else you'd like to tell us. Okay. All right. If not, okay. All right. So whoever would like to speak, I don't know. Is there an attorney on behalf of all of you? Yes, there is. Okay. No. Not all of you. Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. Alex Kriegsman, 279 Main Street, Sag Harbor. I represent some of the neighbors. And I understand there's a review that's going to take place, and there's going to be more discussion on this. And I understand that this is a somewhat different application in that you're going from one non-conforming use to another. But under the code, you are still to consider the impacts in the neighborhood, the impacts in the environmental conditions, and whether this is substantial. And there's a reason why all these folks are here tonight and why you needed to bring out extra chairs, because this application, you know enough already to know it will literally destroy the neighborhood that these folks live in. This is a residential neighborhood with a rural character to it, and this is a proposal to build 120 condominium units on 20 acres. From their own application, they're going to use 35,000 gallons of water a day. They're going to create 27,000 gallons of liquid waste, 289 parking spaces, 2 years' worth of construction. That's enough. You know enough to know what kind of an impact that has on a residential neighborhood. I understand that there's a non-conforming use there now, and they're talking about another non-conforming use. I understand there may be waste there, and it may be a mess, and that the town maybe doesn't want to clean that up. But that's not a reason to throw out the entire code, and that's not a reason to ruin these people's neighborhood. What kind of precedent would that set if we were to say you come in and you clean up a site, you just do whatever you want, you build 120 units in a residential neighborhood? Is the next person going to come along and clean something else up and free leave to build a skyscraper? I'd also urge you to consider, I know that an appeal was filed for the certificate of occupancy that was mentioned, was just granted in April. Notice was just received of that, and there's an appeal of that today. So I'd also ask you to consider that this whole application, where they're looking to build 120 units on 20 acres, is all based on the idea that there is this non-conforming use there now. But if that non-conforming use is inappropriate, if it's determined that that certificate of occupancy was issued either based on false information or something else, that's something that's also going to be pending in front of you as well. So I know you said I've only got 3 minutes, and so I'm going to keep it brief for tonight because there's a lot of other folks here who want to speak. But I would submit to you that you know enough already to reject this application.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, so whoever would like to speak, if you want to either go up to the microphone or have a seat, whatever you prefer.
Okay, my name is Virginia Styler. I live at 235 Mary's Lane.
Okay, and I have to swear everybody in who's not an attorney, so if you can state, well, actually, you already stated your name and your address. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear to do that.
Okay.
Okay. I've been in this town long enough to see the town try to get rid of non-conforming use. You have the greatest opportunity to get rid of one non-conforming use and make it go to regular zoning. So I don't see why you would agree to go from one non-conforming use to another, even though it's a lesser. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
If you can state your name and address, please.
Name is William Sacker, 34th Street Path.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do, sir.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
I'd just like to start out with, I've been living on Straight Path for about 30 years. It's probably, if you look at my birth date, that's my entire life. So when I just want to give background to the board about what Straight Path is. It is a small road, is a rural residential road, as was mentioned before. And it's characterized by not having a yellow middle line down the middle of it. It's that small of a road. In fact, me and a few friends, as we were growing up, we would play on the road and be able to, not worry about heavy traffic. The proposal that they brought up today is 120 units with 2 bedrooms per unit, which would signify about 2 cars. It's 240 cars plus extra. You're talking about guests. You're talking about people that are going to be showing up. And the only entrance and exit for this whole entire complex is on Straight Path. They have ample room to put it onto Major's Path, but they have not for whatever reason they deemed wise. But for right now, it's all on Straight Path. That means about 240 cars minimum are going to be going down Straight Path just to go to this cul-de-sac, because there is no other exit for them to go down. So I would like you to consider just the impact of what the neighborhood would be going through. You're going through a neighborhood that has really no through traffic, that really doesn't serve a use for anybody going from one place to another, to one that's going to experience close to 500 new cars exclusively going to another neighborhood should it fill up. That is saying if it is actually bought and sold and all the units are filled. Otherwise, they'll just sit there empty, and Lord knows what that will attract. But I just want you to consider for that in terms of this. I understand it's going to be a long application. You can't really make a decision tonight. But I'd just like you to consider the area that this is going into and just what it will affect the neighborhood around it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Hi, Anthony Dreyer.
yep.
I
Your
swear to
address?
tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, Anthony, your address.
Oh, 8 Svineker Way,
Okay.
You can spell your last name for me, please?
Dreyer. And I'm here with my wife Elise as well. Like many of us in North Sea, we purchased in this community because of unique character and quality. It's one of the most beautiful areas of Southampton. It's wooded, it's protected, and it's got a unique character and quality. This application threatens all of that. The density, the number of cars. You're going to have 289 lit parking places at night in a neighborhood that doesn't have streetlights. I understand one of the most important factors is this project beneficial to the community? Well, we have the community here. How many people from our community are here tonight? Just stand up, raise your hand. How many of you think this project is
Okay, no,
beneficial?
no. That's not happening. All right,
I'm trying to save time. I'm trying to save you time.
No.
But the record should reflect not a single person of the 50 that are here from Cove Neck kept their hand up, because nobody in their right mind, nobody who lives here, nobody whose kids play here, think this is beneficial to the community. Let me be clear. My wife and I are not anti-development. We all live on land that was cleared. We all live on land that was developed. But we all adhere to the law. We all abided by Residential 60. We abide by Residential 60. This developer does not want to do that. And the reason is clear. They'll make more money if they don't follow the law. If they want to adhere to the law like we do, that's fine. But they should be held to the same standards that the entire community has. They should not destroy our community with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. And anyone who wants to sit rather than stand, feel free.
Name is Myron Holtz, MYRONHOLTZ. I live at 180 Tap Point Road in North Sea. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, thank you. And let us know your comments.
Thank you. Some of you on the board may know my background. I'm a retired Deputy State Housing Commissioner who was formerly in charge of the State Building Construction Code and all multifamily housing in the state of New York. And I'm very familiar with codes and retroactivity when a new code amendment is put in place, but I'm not that familiar with zoning. And it wasn't until last night that I went to the North Sea CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee, that I learned about this and what was proposed, one non-conforming use to another. Now, I thought that zoning ordinance were put in place by this community, by this town, for the purpose of regulating development, letting people understand how the future of this community would be developed and what would be acceptable and what would not be acceptable. Except that where you have non-conforming uses that are pre-existing, there is no retroactivity. They are permitted to continue in that fashion as long as they are in operation. However, and I just learned tonight that there is a separate provision in the zoning ordinance that talks about a non-conforming use being permitted to transfer to another non-conforming use as long as it is of a lesser degree of damage, let's put it that way. I mean, that's what I thought I heard.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Code is not
Oh,
lesser,
oh,
yeah.
just
Just that, as long as it, another...
non-conforming to non-conforming, there's no lesser
So
standard.
then what's the purpose of having a zoning ordinance? I thought when you have a zoning ordinance, you have non-conforming uses. The whole idea is once they stop operating that way, they're no longer permitted. But I know that's not your jurisdiction.
That's correct. So we have a process that we have to live by in terms of what the code allows, dealing with a particular kind of application, which is this application. So some of you may not be happy with the underlying legislation that we have to abide by, but that is not our call.
So the underlying theory is that as long as you are doing another non-conforming use, you can continue in a non-conforming fashion.
No, the code allows application to be made.
Or an application.
Not,
So somebody would have to determine that this is another non-conforming use, which clearly it is because it's not...
Somebody would be our board.
Yes, because it is not R60, because it
Correct.
does not meet the density requirement.
Correct. And we have non-conforming uses all over this town. All over.
Continuing
All over.
Changing and changing.
and changing.
Yep.
Yeah.
30
Boy, oh
seconds.
boy. Okay.
Yep.
I guess we're under the misunderstanding that I thought non-conforming uses can no longer continue to exist once they are no longer in operation, but I guess I was wrong, so...
We didn't say that, okay? But in any case, appreciate your comments, and we'll certainly be looking into all the details of this application.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Stephanie McNamara, 231 Noyak Road. I swear to tell the truth, to the best
Okay.
of what's my available knowledge on this topic.
Can't
Okay.
hear you.
Stephanie McNamara, 231 Noyak Road. I swear to tell the truth, to the best of my knowledge on this topic.
Okay.
I have a letter that I'll give you, and I'm going to get through as much of it as I can, but I did make a copy of it. The town of Southampton has developed zoning codes to protect its population with much thought and care for the residents, the aquifer, and the environment. This property is R60 zoning, which has an as-of-right development allowance of 1.5 acres, single-family homes per lot, making 13 lots available for single-family homes per code. This property is in the Aquifer Overlay Protection Zone, thus the zoning applied to it is appropriate at R60. However, this site is a former unregulated landfill burn pit operated by the village of Southampton, not the town, until approximately 1963 when the town of Southampton purchased the land on the other side of Major's Path for the purpose of a municipal landfill. Therefore, it is a toxic site which is unsuitable for home development of any type. There are concerns regarding the proposed cleanup of this site and its impact on the health and well-being of surrounding neighbors and the community if this site is disturbed and toxic particles become airborne in the removal process. It's the wish of the residents of the surrounding community that this property be purchased with CPF funds and allowed to remain undeveloped, therefore untouched. It's my understanding that this site was not designated an EPA Superfund when Cell 1 at the former North Sea landfill was put under that designation due to the fact that this site was at that time inactive. This makes the change of non-conforming use invalid as it was not used for this purpose continually. Please see this Stehecki affidavit for the C of O, item number 9.
I'm not
which
sure
he
how many
states.
pages your
I'll
letter
get
is.
through as much
but
as I can
you have a
in my
3-minute
3
time
minutes,
limit.
I know. So this constitutes an abandonment of use as a dump site. It's my understanding when the property was owned by Charlton Halsey from the 1960s to 1997, it was a tree farm not used for any type of composting or waste disposal of any kind, contrary to the affidavit submitted and that C of O issued April 2nd. To my knowledge, the site remained inactive until purchased by Thomas Stehecki in 1997 from Charlton Halsey, who's now deceased. At that time, that land was zoned designated as a tree farm, as evidenced by the purchase documents from the residents of Cove Neck Lane and Spinnaker Way, to the best of my knowledge. Over the last 15 to 20 years, Mr. Stehecki has used the site to accept organic leaf and yard waste without benefit of the C of O from the town of Southampton until it was recently issued, and, more importantly, without the benefit of DEC permission as required by Part 360 and Parts 361 regulations of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law. I have in here what the regulations are, what he's allowed to take in, and how many cubic yards, et cetera. No such permits have been issued, despite the fact that Mr. Stehecki has taken in all of Southampton Village's leaf and yard waste, as well as that of landscapers for many years. Clearly, that would exceed the allowable compost limit of 3,000 cubic square yards, which anyone can do. I'll skip the part about my home. Within the last 15 to 20 years, illegal dumping and composting has been occurring at this site and causing health and other environmental issues which have been affecting the surrounding community, which not the least of which is the release of Aspergillus fumigatus resulting from decomposed grass clippings, which, by the way, even our transfer station can't take in. North Sea has borne more than its fair share of environmental nuisances and health hazards. This change of use is a spot zoning, which is illegal under New York state law. We no longer have PDD laws here. Most important, this application is out of character.
But you can submit the entire letter.
Okay, yes, I'll
Okay,
submit the
please.
entire letter to all of you,
Okay.
and we are asking you vehemently to please deny this change of use and deny this application for 120 units.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
No, you have to get to a microphone. No, can't speak from the audience because we don't get you on tape. We actually have a recording system that we rely upon.
Original for Adam.
John Larkin, 460 Way, Southampton.
6 here.
Okay, thank you.
I just felt like I should give you my own experiences in this neighborhood. I bought this house about 10 years ago. I live here, I work here, I own a business here. But what's striking me here is when I bought the house, the property was overcleared. And so based on that overclearance, I adhered to whatever the laws were and whatever the requirements were for the property. I revegetated the property. And what's striking me is my neighbor, Mr. Stehecki, has been operating, as far as I understand, not properly for the whole time I've been there, and probably prior to me being there. And it sounds like what he's been doing, whether it's illegal or against whatever codes you have, is now going to allow somebody else to come in and do
Okay,
the same sort
let
of
me
thing.
just stop you for a second.
Right.
If any of you here thinks that something that's going on this property is violating the town code, call code enforcement.
They have a million
No,
times.
it is- We are not code enforcement, folks.
I know, but-
Okay? There is a department that exists in the town called the Code Enforcement Department.
The point I'm trying to make is, there's been a million complaints about that, and I know that's not your jurisdiction.
It is not.
But it's been allowed to continue, and that allowance by whatever department's in charge of that is now going to allow somebody else to come in and do something else that maybe isn't right or wrong. It makes no sense to me, and it's just something for you guys to consider, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Larkin, they're not necessarily connected. We don't believe that two wrongs make a right, and so by virtue of the fact that that has not been held accountable, doesn't have any impact on our decision.
No, I know,
going
but it's just, again, something to consider, that two wrongs don't make a right. I know you've got your own decisions to make, but it's been allowed to continue for a long time, and again, to me, it just makes no sense.
And to be clear, we're not making any decision tonight.
No, I get
Just so
that.
everybody knows, there's no
It's-
decision.
You're looking to hear from the neighborhood about our
Everybody's clear.
concerns and our feelings and what's going on, and again,
Yep.
when I came in, I did what was right because it was what was required, and everybody that lives there is doing the same thing, and so we're doing the right thing. And I feel like, me revegetating my whole property, I almost feel like I should just go rip it all out because nobody cares. It doesn't matter.
We do. It should matter.
All right, okay, and we're not going to go
Yeah.
into...
We do, and we appreciate
clapping and
you.
all of that. We want to try to have a respectful hearing. We're going to listen to everything you all have to say, I promise, but if you can try to, we just want to focus on the comments, please. Okay, sir.
Raymond Clare, 4 Cove Neck Lane, Southampton, New York.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but
I
the
do.
truth? Okay.
And I won't be, there's not much written here, but this.
I'm sorry, Raymond, I didn't get your last name.
Claire, C-L-A-I-R.
Thank you.
120 condos. What are we going to do with the cars? When they were approving the Sandy Hollow housing project, they said, there's no traffic problem. We can approve it. Now traffic backs up a half a mile on North Sea Road, getting onto Sandy Hollow Road many days. Noyak Road backs up, getting onto North Sea Road. County Road 39 is a complete disaster. Village of Southampton is a parking and traffic nightmare. Our road system is 75 to 100 years old. Check out the Suffolk County 1930s historical aerial map. 120 condos times 2 stalls equals 240 cars. How are they going to move them? That's more pollution, more time sitting in traffic, more breathing in carbon monoxide. This doesn't sound like the environmental friendly Southampton. The 120 condos are no benefit to North Sea. The board needs to deal with infrastructure before allowing any more building. I noticed the property has gotten a new CO. I just want to mention that they can maybe now regulate the property a little better, because he was out of compliance all the time. And just one other thing to mention, they talked about straight path. You have ball fields and a playground on straight path too, where the entrance is. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You can state your name and address.
Charlie Corwith, 119 Straight Path.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth,
Glad
and
I'll
nothing but the
tell you
truth?
the whole truth I know.
Okay.
I've lived on Straight Path for the last 16 years. Prior to that, I lived on Seven Ponds Town for 33 years. I've lived in Watermill all my life. Very familiar with this property. I called a couple old farmers, because apparently, coincidentally, this zoning change he got his CO April 2nd for this, one he has now. And 21 days after Charlton Halsey died, who was the previous owner, who could have contested to most of this stuff, what was done there. I called Tom White, local farmer who was best friends with Charlton Halsey. He said the same thing. Once they closed that up, it was empty till the late 70s when Tommy started using it. He's been using it off and on since I moved in. It wasn't heavy in the beginning, and then it increased and increased, and I've got aerial photographs I can show you of it.
Please submit him to our attorney.
Okay, I've already given them to the town board and everything.
Yeah, we
Well,
don't get them.
we want them in our
Oh, I
file.
can
If
get 'em
you
copies.
want us to have them, you got to give them to us.
Okay,
Okay?
I will get them to you. The use there has increased as all day long there's trucks going in and out of there dumping stuff. He has no DEC permits. I've called the DEC. DEC's been there. He forbids them to come on the property. I went with the DEC agent. We had to sit in front of the gate. He wouldn't let him in. He says he was using this prior from 63 to his buying it in 78. That he was using it the whole time. It was empty, and it was used as a hunt club for him and some of his friends. He had signs on the gates at that time, says no trespassing, clearly labeled both ends. Trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. That was the signs he had on the gates. He's cleared almost the entire piece in there. It was a lot of woodland to start with. The smell from the place, his businesses, is just unbearable in the neighborhood. And he just waits like 10 o'clock Sunday morning when you want to have brunch out on your deck. He goes out and he turns the mulch, and the smell is terrible. The thing is, let the buyer beware. He knew when he bought this property what it had been, and now he's trying to make changes to the rules because of his mistake. He did originally plan, Charlton Halsey originally planned to have greenhouses there for his farm. and that never panned out. But it's totally misuse to the neighborhood. It's going to ruin the neighborhood if you put 120 condos in there. It's just unbearable what he's doing now, too.
30 seconds, sir.
We're strongly against it. Just coincidentally does this 22 days after the man passes away, too. He gets the CO changed.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
You should give the picture. He's going to make copies.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
Marilyn Zaretsky, 2 Spinnaker Way, Southampton.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Marilyn, I need to spell your last name.
Z is in zebra, A-R-E-T-S-K-Y is in yellow.
Thank you.
I will be submitting a letter because it is repetitions of what a lot has been said. As my neighbor, John Larkin, said, we had to, when we moved in, we were told we were overcleared and we had to go to the town and we had to keep coming back and being sure that we obeyed the law as well. And we believe in obeying the law. Our home is closely adjacent to the Stahecki property. A lot of the maps don't even show us. They're drawn incorrectly with who the neighbors are in some cases. This is supposed to be beneficial to the neighborhood. So far, the only benefit is, although we did not get a notice, we have wonderful neighbors who did notify us in a very short amount of time. We got no notice of this hearing, and we got no...
Are you an adjacent property owner?
There's at the point, and they have the 2 houses on the map, the Larkins and the Rakahamis. We're the house there, but they have them adjacent to each other, and they don't even show our house.
Okay, well,
On
the applicant has to follow the rules in terms of who needs to be noticed, which has to do with usually, I believe, a list that they are given.
Okay, and as been stated, our neighborhood in Cove Neck is a very quiet family neighborhood, which is why we bought there. Even though our neighbors did notify us, in the time parameters we were given for review of this application, we cannot determine whether the responses on all the applications are valid. I know you're going to be going through the CEQA process, but a lot of the questions we believe were not answered correctly.
We're going to be plenty of time to submit things in writing. This application is going to remain open for months.
Okay. In addition, we weren't notified of the certificate of occupancy change on April 2nd. During the 14 years we've owned our property, we've appealed to the town board about the illegal dumping. We've brought pictures. We've called the attorney. We stayed home to allow people on the property. At times, we've been, not at times, every time we've been ignored. One time when a code violation came, Mr. Stahecki would not even let them on the property. So the grant of variances will indeed cause an undesirable change in the character of our neighborhood and will create a detriment to all nearby properties. Over the past few years, our water pressure has gone from adequate to subpar. They're going to put a further drain on that. Power outages have increased dramatically in our subdivision. Traffic at the intersection of Mary's Lane and North Sea Road, as well as the merge at Sandy Hollow on County Road 39, has become extremely difficult, especially during the afternoon rush hour.
30 seconds, miss.
Only accentuate it. Okay, the application speaks of a wastewater treatment plant. Where will that be located? I'm a former superintendent of schools. What impact is that going to have on our school system? Right now, Southampton is facing a lot of crowding and is looking even for a space for their district office, which they're still having a problem with. You're putting pressure on not only the environment, but the entire school and the entire neighborhood. And I would like you to not accept this at all and to turn it down.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next.
I'm Dave Johns, 14 Cove Neck Lane, Southampton.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I have a letter that I'm not going to read. I'm going to abbreviate it because I don't want to be repetitious, some of the things that have already been said. But one of the neighbors on Spinnaker, just so you know, just pointed out to me that only 3 people on Spinnaker received the information on this zoning appeal. They shared with each other, but I just want you to know that the system didn't work in that case. What I'm going to say, because again I don't want to be repetitive, a couple paragraphs from my letter. The neighbors of Cove Neck Lane, Spinnaker Way, and Straight Path collectively have invested millions of dollars to build and continuously improve a quality residential environment. In the process, we've created a quiet neighborhood with large lots and houses spaced to respect our neighbors. We also willingly contributed to the town's open space program that protected 50% of our neighborhood from future development. I estimate the total tax investment in the program to be approximately $200,000. We made conscious decisions to build and invest in an area without a community swimming pool, tennis courts, a clubhouse, or pickleball. Now the future of our investment is at stake when we realize that the noise, light pollution, car exhaust, and extra traffic congestion will change our neighborhood and make our area less desirable to people looking at our properties in the future. This impacts our financial future. Being a neighbor is much more than just living next door. It's having some respect for the people around you, especially when there are viable alternatives that won't affect the lives of others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Roy Lennox, and I live on 6 Spinnaker Way with my wife, Jennifer Lennox.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I think my neighbors are really telling you what the situation is, so I'm not going to basically repeat what they're saying, but I just had one observation to make. When I saw the article in the Southampton Press this morning on the front page, it quoted from the application, and it basically said something along the lines of, my neighbors have often complained about the noxious smells coming out, and this will solve the problem. There's a Yiddish word for this, chutzpah. Here is somebody that was doing something illegal for years, something he wasn't supposed to be doing. And his way of solving this is by taking a neighborhood, not only driving down the property values of everybody's home, but also totally changing in a negative way the character of the neighborhood. So myself, like everybody else here, strongly oppose this, and we will do everything possible to make sure that it doesn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gabriel Suarez, 36 Kennedy Drive.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Gabriel, I'll spell your last name again?
Suarez, like
Spell it
Luis,
for me.
Suarez,
Okay, thank you.
like Luis Suarez.
Yes, Suarez.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I make a enormous, gigantic effort to buy my house. I'm an immigrant.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so and I think this is all about the value of my property and the value of the property of the other people in the community, because this is about standards. So my house is half an acre per house, and this lot has 20 acres, right? So it should be like a 40 unit. And now the magic number was like the triple is 120, but I want an explanation why three times, why not 6 or 10, or you know what I mean? It's Hudson Yard right there. I mean, is what is the explanation of that? It's a magic number. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Mark Christensen. My wife and I are residents at 17 Spinnaker.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to need you to spell your last name for me.
Christensen.
Thank you.
You know, I know a lot of what has gone on in that property in the past has maybe been problematic, but I really want to speak about what's going on there now. You know, my wife and I looked at seriously almost 100 houses before we bought this house 4 years ago. And of all the houses that we saw in Southampton, this neighborhood was what we wanted. I mean, it was a beautiful spot. You know, there's no streetlights, which I love. You know, got the telescope out, you know. My son runs around. There's no traffic. Our lot, you know, is almost an acre, but we really like the fact that there's clearing restrictions because there's still forest happening, you know. Got the preserve out the back of our property. I live across the street. I'm not actually abutting it directly, but, there's a paragraph in the application where it talks about the character of the neighborhood and what this development might do for the neighborhood. And the implication is that the developers are hoping that it's going to improve the neighborhood. And, it says the grant of the area variance will not cause an undesirable change. Well, there's no way in a million years that this development is not going to cause an undesirable change. I'm just asking you on a personal level, if you haven't been up to our neighborhood, you should come check it out and imagine what this kind of shopping center, parking lot, UFO landing strip thing is going to look like. I mean, it's going to be a big problem. And all the different, I've got all the points here, but you already know what they all are. But, the construction, the traffic, the noise, the lighting, the water usage, the waste, all of that obviously is impact. But, earlier somebody said it's going to destroy the neighborhood. And when they first said that, I thought, well, that's kind of a dramatic thing to say. But you know what? It's actually the truth. It actually is going to destroy the neighborhood. It's going to fundamentally change the neighborhood in ways that are, I know you didn't appreciate when we all laughed, and I understand why, but there's a reason we laughed. And it's because it's going to change it so dramatically that it's kind of absurd. And I would like to ask you, please, to not allow this variance, because it is going to destroy our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Zukowski. I live at 21 Cove Neck Lane.
And do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Z-U-K.
Sorry.
Z-U-K-O-S-K-Y.
Thank you.
I just want to take a couple minutes and direct my comments to the board itself. I've lived in Southampton for 44 years. I was born and raised here. My wife is a teacher in the school district. My kids go to the school district. We've worked tirelessly to be able to purchase a home, 21 Cove Neck Lane. That's our dream house where our kids are going to grow up. And we did that 2.5 years ago. And we knew of all of the potential issues behind our house, yet we still chose to buy there. It's a great neighborhood. I've spent my entire adult life taking care of this community, or teaching people how to take care of this community as a paramedic, a firefighter, and a law enforcement officer. I'm asking you, the board, to empathize with all of these people in this room and take care of this community and make a decision that's going to benefit not only these people, but everyone who's involved. It's clear what everyone in this room, except for the applicant, thinks about this plan. So I'm asking you, the board, to be protectors of this community, not only just the Cove Neck, Spinnaker, Straight Path community, but the entire North Sea Southampton community, and take care of this community and make a good decision. I know it's not tonight. I know it's probably going to be quite a while from now. But please empathize with us, put yourself in our shoes, and make a decision that's going to hopefully be equitable for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Barbara Fair,
Okay.
180 Todd Point Road, Southampton.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
You can put that microphone down a little, too.
Down.
Yep.
Thank you. I guess one question that this group might appreciate having answered is whether if a property is presently being used in a non-conforming way, whether you are obligated to accept the argument that a certain proposed non-conforming use might be better, or are you able to look to the existing zoning for that property and say, no, 120 units may be marginally better than a smelly tree farm or whatever it is he has there, and instead we want to see you do something that's much closer to what is laid out in the master plan for this community? And that is my question. I don't feel that you're obligated to accept their argument. That
Well,
We're not obligated to accept anything.
That's right. We have an application in front of us. We can grant it, we could deny it, we could ask the applicant to revise the application that is presented to us. One of the tricky things about right now is that the application may change. It could be that when they start going through the planning process with the planning board, it may be a different application when they come back than what is before us tonight. But we have an application in front of us, and so we're here to figure out what to do with that application.
Is it unusual for them to hopscotch over the ZBA and go to the planning board?
what happens is, you want to go ahead?
No, go
Okay,
go.
all right. What happens is if an applicant needs multiple approvals from both the zoning board and the planning board, or other boards in the town, then sometimes what will happen is the applicant will come to one board first, and they will send the applicant to the other board, or vice versa. So sometimes we'll have an application first, and then an application goes to the planning board. Sometimes an application will go to the planning board first, and because the application needs variance approvals, the planning board sends them to us. So that typically, if an applicant needs approval from both boards, they're going to be two sets of hearings. Regardless of where it starts, that will typically take place.
I appreciate the explanation. One thing that we have observed at the North Sea CAC meetings is what sometimes seems to be a lack of a comprehensive view toward the development of the town of Southampton as well as the individual communities. And that people, all of us, are looking at these things, discreetly rather than globally. And this is something where you really should be using a global view, not just looking at the particular applicant and the proposal before you, but to all of what is going on in North Sea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Whoever would like to go next, feel free to step up. Okay, hello.
Mia Karat, 111 Straight Path.
Okay. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Remind me your last name again?
Korot.
Korot?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not going to repeat what everyone has said here today. I agree wholeheartedly with all of my neighbors about how the property is currently being used and how they feel about how it will be used. Just want to pose one question, which is it appropriate for there to be residential condos, condominiums, whatever, over a landfill, over a municipal dump?
Well,
and is there any precedent for that? And that is something that the zoning board should consider.
Yeah, I can't say in my years on the zoning board, and I've been here for a little while, about 17 plus years, I can't recall another application that's a proposal in front of what had been a landfill. What I can tell you is that there are multiple approvals and environmental reviews
I get all that.
and then some dealing with something like this.
I get that, but what I pose to you is that this is a very big deal then. This is unprecedented, and you have a big question in front of you, and do you want to set the precedent that this is okay? That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you can state your name and address, please.
Joseph Gonzalez, 139 Straight Path.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I think more than a few people here know that I work in real estate, and that I certainly do not begrudge anyone opportunity to develop property, to make a profit. I totally get that side of it. But when I saw this application, and we're talking about 120 units, my guess is that's probably a plan that will be, from his side, negotiated down, but still. There's one thing that I can tell you, unique perspective living on the corner of Straight Path, Major's Path, and Mary's Lane. In the 21 years since I've owned my home, I've told my wife multiple times, and more as years go on, that somebody's going to get killed here because the traffic situation has been abominable. We have people who break the law every day. We have situations where my wife had a baby stroller and two of my children, basically my entire family, run off. She tried to walk from our home to the park, to the North Sea Fire area where the softball fields are, and a car came down doing 65, 70 miles an hour. There was a woman on the other side in a stroller, and he ran them both off the road into the woods. And I had to think to myself that I almost lost my family that day. That's just one situation. There's even more continuous problems on a daily basis on the corners of Major's, Straight Path, and Mary's Lane. So my question is, 120 units, 40 units, 20 units, assuming 2 cars per unit, we're going to have that much more traffic in these areas, and there's going to be more, and somebody is literally going to get hurt, because I already know what's going to happen. It's almost happened so far. There's been accidents in front, but I think it's a serious situation from a traffic perspective that sort of density will come into play.
Right. And Joe, just so you understand, I appreciate your sharing that with us. That is going to be part of the secret process, the traffic impacts.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Don't be shy. Okay, you already spoke, sir. No, you can't speak from the audience. Can't speak from the audience. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard? Sir, if you want to come up, I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, but you have to come up. Okay, if you can state your name again, please.
Raymond Clare again.
Okay.
One question. Do they put official notice signs up when it goes to planning board?
If there's a hearing, sure.
Okay, that was the only question.
Yeah.
That'll be the first part.
Right. But when there's a hearing before our board or for the planning board, there absolutely should be signs up. There should also be notification in the press, and adjacent property owners are supposed to be notified.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, okay. Okay, and just state your name again.
Stephanie McNamara, 231 Noyak Road, Southampton. I was speaking...
And I previously swore you in.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
I was speaking before as a personal property owner, but I'm also the chairperson of the North Sea CAC. We did have a meeting last night, and we have been discussing the issues with this property on every agenda, every month, for probably the last, we went over minutes from, 12 years, I think, last night? And every single month, we've been discussing this issue and what's going on, including development. We worked tirelessly on a master plan for the North Sea community, which clearly, as I stated in my letter, is not something that we want in this community, or anywhere in Southampton, for any kind of a large-scale property like that. We can only speak for North Sea. Other communities have their rights to, think what they want. I just want to say that I will be submitting a letter also on behalf of the North Sea CAC that we vigorously oppose you even considering this application. So we would like to ask that you don't even consider the application. Stop it now, so we don't have to go through this for years.
We can't just stop an application. We have to make a decision on it.
Well, then we're asking you to make a decision that does not allow them to proceed with this,
Okay.
so that this doesn't drag on for years. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. Okay, you can state your name and address.
John Benson, 111 Straight Path.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep, I'm an attorney. There's a reason you don't have precedent for this, converting over a landfill for residential. It's rarely granted. You're introducing horizontal improvements. You risk disturbing the cap, even with the most perfect environmental. You're putting us at risk. You have the opportunity to prevent that. Ball's in your court now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Did I
I am a
previously swear you
lawyer,
in?
but...
If you're a lawyer, I don't have to swear you in.
Okay.
We presume you're going to tell the truth.
Yes. But we need you to state your name and address.
Steve Klugman, Klugman.
Folks.
Sorry, thank you. What's your last name again, Steve?
I'm sorry, I have a problem with my voice.
That's okay.
Klugman, Klugman, 1758 Majors Path. I just want to mention a couple things that haven't been said, and one of them may be out of order, and if it is, so be it. The first is, let me just say, my wife and I have had a home on Majors Path for almost 30 years now. We're a little over a mile from this site, a mile north of the site. I have a very poor sense of smell. My wife has an acute one. I've never noticed any noxious odors coming from this place. I think that the noxious odors issue is quite a localized one, not to minimize it or say it isn't significant for the people who suffer from it, but I would just contrast it to the very serious problem we had with odors back in the old days of the landfill across the street, where even I could smell it. So I don't know if it makes any difference, but it's not as if this odors from this place emanate and cover all of North Sea. The second is, my wife told me about this application either yesterday or the day before. She'd seen the article in the newspaper. And I thought at the time either there was some sort of a joke or she had the facts wrong. This whole thing is absurd. And the point is I think this is just a stalking horse. The applicant here and the applicant's lawyer, I would guess, no, there's not a chance in hell that this thing's going to get approved. They have or will have something else in mind that next to this monstrosity looks reasonable, looks a little modest, and might stand a chance of approval. And I would just urge this board, and you people are a lot better at this and know a lot more about this than I ever will, not to be taken in by that. This
Well,
is,
you know, I have to tell you, we take applications that are before us. We have an application that is signed by someone saying they want relief. So I appreciate you, what you're telling me, and us may or may not be, you know,
okay.
what's occurring, but we have an application that is before us. We have, obviously, someone who's paid to have a presentation made to us. So I just want to mention that.
No, I think I understand that. I try to understand that.
Okay.
But, you know, when the next one comes around, I just, and I may not be here, I just would urge the board to judge it on its own merits and not by the fact that it's not, it looks reasonable next to this just completely unreasonable application for 120 units, given the zoning in this area.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Nobody else?
Chair, can I just say something? Just a little education opportunity is, these applicants are required to send notices to everyone who is an adjacent property owner, which literally means that, correct me if I'm wrong, that your property touches right next to this property. So if you didn't get a notice, it's because you may not be listed as an adjacent. So it's not their responsibility to advise the entire neighborhood, but just adjacent.
The code has specific rules as to who's to be notified. Yeah, you have to go up to the microphone, and I have to swear you in.
Lindsay Lucenti,
Okay.
18 Spinnaker Way.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and
Yes.
nothing but the truth?
I really didn't want to speak tonight.
I just need you to spell your last name.
Lucenti, Lucenti.
Thank you.
We are a flag lot, so we are literally right on this property line. And I hate the farm so much that anything is probably better. So it's hard for me when it's seeing this. At first, I was like, oh, great, something else is going in. This farm is gone. But the new zoning or this application, there would be a building 40 feet from my property line where my kids play. The farm is awful, and so it's hard to say that this is worse because I hate the smell, I hate the noise, I hate the possible like health standards, but this is also so many units, it's lights, it's all of this stuff, so I'm here in support of my community because I don't want this coming in either, but I didn't get a notification, and I am 40 feet from where you guys are going to build. Like,
So in terms of this notice requirement, there's a list that is
I'm
generated.
on the list, I didn't get it.
Okay, there's a list, and then when you heard at the very beginning, when our attorney said there is jurisdiction, that meant that all the notices have been sent out to the people on the list, not received, sent out, okay?
But how
So-
is that fair?
Okay.
Because if it wasn't for my neighbors,
Th-
I
th-
wouldn't even
this-
know what's going on
this is-
40 feet from my
okay.
property line.
Ma'am, this is part of what's in the town code, okay, in terms of us being able to have jurisdiction over this application. So let Candace, our secretary, know if you think you're an adjacent property owner and you were somehow
not.
excluded from being noticed.
You can see on the map, I'm going to be 40 feet from this
Okay,
new.
okay, hold on. Okay, let's go through the list. Let's see who's on it and who isn't. Let's do it right now.
18 Spinnaker Way.
And your last name again is?
Lucenti, Lucenti.
Sometimes we also find that people have either old addresses or incorrect addresses.
We said, our mailing list has it to Robert, right?
Or my husband.
Robert Lucenti, 161 Hudson Street, apartment 6C, New York, 10013.
Which
So
is
that's,
not ours, and we pay taxes.
that's the
every
address
year
that the
that-
town has.
That's the
on-
address the
on-
town has for you, so you might want to talk to the town about the mailing address.
All of the names that are on that?
I don't know, I mean,
No,
you-
but you can come in and review it. You can come and review it.
And check with the town to make sure that you have your current, some people have moved from other addresses and
Not
used
right
to
now,
get text.
not right now.
No, during the business hours.
Okay.
I guess my only question then would be the update of this process, because I know you're not making a decision now, like fully understand
We are
that.
not, we can't.
What, or how will we be notified on,
We're going to tell you when the next date is tonight.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
You will not receive mailing or anything else. We're going to tell you
Yep,
tonight.
yep, okay.
John Larkin.
Yep.
Or Spinnaker Way. Can you just explain adjacent? Because again, on my house at 4 Spinnaker, there's a town trail that goes between my property and Stehecki's, which is a
town owns
15-foot
it?
piece of land.
The town owns it.
So does that not considered adjacent?
Yep.
No, it's only touching.
So even though, well, all right.
Okay.
It's not adjacent.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, and no, you have to go up to the microphone, sir. You can't talk from your seat, sorry.
Let me just ask an ignorant question.
State your name again, please.
Steve Klugman, Klugman, 1758 Majors Path. How can those of us who didn't receive notices get a copy of the application?
You can call Candace during business hours.
Or you can come to...
Stop to the building.
Or you can come to Town Hall. By the way, besides there being, the notices being sent out to adjacent property owners, there also is posting on the property, and there also is publication of our meetings in the Southampton Press, as well as on it also exists on our website. So people who aren't adjacent property owners, you have to follow our agendas to see if there's an application that you're concerned about, and there are people who regularly do this.
You can go right to the town website, zoning board of appeals.
Yep, our agendas are
right there.
I certainly understand that and appreciate it, but
Yeah.
I was asking about the copies of the application itself. And
Yep,
I
you
appreciate
can get it from Candace.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, anyone else?
Or perhaps, let me just make one suggestion, because there's a significant amount of people there tonight. One person can be the point person to get a copy of the application, and then they can disseminate it.
Yeah,
Because if 50 people come and ask Candace for the application, it's not going to happen.
And not going to happen quickly,
Right.
I should say.
So everybody knows.
And it would be a little taxing. But whatever, we want people to have the information. The information is public information that's available. Okay.
And this meeting will be, this video will be on the town website as well, so you can go back and look at it if you want, or you can share it with someone else.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Dave Donahue. I live in Shinnecock Hills.
Okay, what's your address?
14 Malin Drive, Southampton, New York.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'm a real estate agent. I love selling property. 120 units would be a boon to my fellow agents. But in this case, I think the town is going down the wrong path entertaining this. Bad behavior should not be rewarded. This is R60 zoning. This would be 10 times what you would put in R60 zonings. And you could do a cluster, residential housing, and it would be accepted by the local community. But this is a ridiculous amount of housing jammed up against a beautiful neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, sir, you got to come up.
Anyone else going to speak?
Yeah. And we have to have people who are going to speak more than once, okay? I think this is the last
That's it.
person who's going to speak more than once.
Very quickly.
Okay.
Dave Johns, 14 Cove Neck. There's the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. I walk my dogs in the corridor between the Larkins' house and the proposed development. I can throw a stone from their backyard to where this proposed clubhouse is. And I'm just suggesting that when you send these out in the future, you ought to consider, I understand, adjacent, but in that case, there's a real impact on them, because all the recreational stuff is going to be very close to their property.
If you think that our system, in terms of how people are noticed, needs to be revised, I would talk to the town board about that. 'cause
Okay.
That's in the town code.
Okay, I'll do that, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Just a couple quick observations on some of the statements. First of all, I probably should have said this before, but the property is present on a federal surplus Superfund site. It's been designated on a DEC hazardous waste disposal site. It is not capped. It has not been capped. It's had very little DEC attention. We have had extensive conversations with the DEC, and it is a project with the way that we have proposed it, based on the layout, that we're able to do what we're doing. Prior speaker mentioned the ownership of the property. This property was owned by the Village of Southampton for a long time, and the town contracted with the village to use it as its municipal dump. Prior to submitting the application, I requested the code enforcement responses to the million complaints. All of the complaints that were made were unfounded.
Enough, people.
Folks. Okay, no, we listen to both sides here, folks. Okay, that's what we do. Okay.
As far as traffic is concerned and the development here, that will certainly be a big part of what the secret process will look at. I think it will focus on the traffic. With respect to impact to the school district, this is not the first type of this application that this board or the town has seen. I think what we will be able to demonstrate during the secret process is that this will be mostly a second home community. There is a requirement under the Long Island Workforce Housing Act that we provide some affordable housing. I think during the secret process that we're going to be able to demonstrate that there will be a positive impact to the school district based on the income from the individual units, as opposed to the one payment that's made today by Mr. Stehecki. Again, the property's not capped. We're going to go through a secret process. I think 98% of what you heard from the community tonight will be addressed during that process, and, we'll come back to you, maybe, maybe not, after that process. But it's a process we have to go through that will answer, I don't know to the satisfaction of the community, but we'll answer all those questions.
Yeah, and I just want to add, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, we have a lot of people who are here, took time out of their schedules to be here tonight. They're really upset about this, really unhappy and upset about this application, and that's unfortunate.
Well, the challenge with this property, and hopefully we'll be able to have some conversations and work this through, is that the landfill isn't capped. It's got to be capped. That's an extraordinary expense. So the idea that subdividing this into 12 or 13 lots isn't feasible. It's not going to happen, whether it's Engel Berman, the applicant, or somebody else. Nobody's going to spend the type of money to cap and bring this property into environmental conformance as required by the DEC, and the outcome of that is 12 or 13 lots. That's not going to happen. So there, I don't know where this process winds up, but I know it doesn't wind up, at least with my client. I can't tell you what Mr. Stehecki will do, but with my client, it's not going to end up in a 12 or 13 lot subdivision. And part of the understanding as we move through this process is that there's a pre-existing non-conforming use on this property that has been given by the building inspector. That is a right. That changes what can be done on that property. It first of all allows us to make the application before you. It second of all has to change the underlying zoning, and I think that through the secret process, I think everybody will come to understand what's going to be required to bring this property into conformance and rid it, one, of the dump or cap it. There's, part of it's going to be capped. I think part of it has to be trucked away. And then two, getting rid of Mr. Stehecki's use.
Yeah.
But we'll work through that. We'll work through that process. We look forward to it. And certainly the community will be involved in that every step of the way. And hopefully we gain a better understanding of what needs to happen to get to a point where we can all agree.
Okay.
When do we want to come back?
2022?
You said 6 months.
6 months.
February 6th, or either one of the meetings.
I'm not here on the 6th.
Why don't we go to March? I think February is a big vacation month
Okay.
for people.
Want to go to March?
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, March 5th and March 19th.
Your choice.
March 5th.
March 5th?
Okay. All right,
We also have to put it on for a lead agency resolution
right,
on September 19th. But just for a lead agency resolution.
right, right. Okay.
You want to explain that to everyone?
Yes, okay. All right, so I just want to explain what the discussion just was. So there are a couple of things that are going to happen. The applicant is going to be going to the planning board, okay? And they have to go through a process with the planning board. In addition to that, they're going to come back to us, but they're not going to come back to us until that process is well underway, maybe completed, although, so I would say, at a minimum, underway. But before that happens, we have to issue what's called a secret resolution, which is to determine who the lead agency is for secret purposes. Secret is the environmental review aspect of this application. And I know one of the things that all of you who are here tonight are very concerned about is the environmental aspects of this application. So the secret resolution will be on our agenda for September 19th. However, it's not a public hearing, it's just a vote of the board on a secret resolution determining who the lead agency is that's going to consider the part of this, the aspect of this application that involves the environmental review, or SECRA. And then we're going to we're also going to be putting the application over tonight before our board until March 5th of next year. So you're not going to, there won't be any other activity in terms of public hearings before us until at least March 5th. I also want to mention, it may be that on March 5th, nothing may happen on that night because it may be the applicant will still be at the planning board and they may not be finished yet and they may need additional time. So we're going to do a vote to adjourn to March 5th, but just so you know, if you could all, when we're getting close to the beginning of March, maybe have one or two of you call Candace, but not all of you call Candace to find out whether, yeah.
Can I please make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can you please set a date for when he can give me the adjournment, so it's not the date of, and I have to respond to 30 phone calls?
That would be nice.
Thank you.
So, yes, Mr. Gilmore, if you can give Candace at least a week's notice of if we're going to be adjourning March 5th, so that she'll be able to have that information readily available to anyone who might call.
I appreciate that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. I think we're pretty much finished with public comment, but if you're very...
Could I make a recommendation? The name's Philip Karat. I'm an attorney.
Okay.
So the request is, can this board make a determination without submitting it to the planning board and for a CEQA review?
No.
I'm just asking.
Not as a matter of law.
For purpose of
No.
non-conforming
It's a
use.
type 1 application. We cannot take any action until SECRA is finished, sir.
Okay.
As a matter of law.
I'm sorry, Philip, is it K-O-R-O-T? Yes. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
A little bit of historical
Hold on. Okay, and this is okay. This is the third time out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're pretty much done.
Okay, just for historical clarification, we're aware that there is no cap on that landfill. It was an unregulated landfill all along. Nothing ever happened to it except for whatever he's been putting on it for years. The caps that are on the landfill are across the street, and there's been
Okay.
environmental
We're
issues
done.
with that, so
Okay.
that
Okay.
has nothing to do with it.
Okay, thank you. Now, in the meantime, up until the public hearing in its entirety will be left open, so anyone who wants to submit a letter, a picture, anything at all that you want to submit to us, feel free to submit it to Candace, okay? In the meantime, I would make a motion that we adjourn the application of the Thomas R. Stachecki Living Trust until September 19th for the purpose solely of a secret resolution. And then the public hearing is adjourned for all purposes until our March 5th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here. Yes. We're going to take a short break. Gavel. We are back on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot my job.
Mr. Secretary.
Number 4 on tonight's agenda, Eric and Tara Belfi, property located at 45 Cold Spring Point Road, Tuckahoe, New York. Applicant requests relief from section 330-84D pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 5,620 cubic feet, 2,810 cubic feet to the east, 2,810 cubic feet to the west, for a proposed 2-story dwelling with an attached balcony and decks on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Mr. Bryan.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York. You're also being handed some of the exhibits that I'll refer to tonight in my presentation. We have Mr. and Mrs. Belfi here tonight. I don't anticipate Mr. Belfi speaking, but if you stump me on a question, he will, but he's a lawyer, so.
Okay, so then that's, I don't
Don't hold that against him.
They like lawyers. Two of them up there. The lot here in question is on Cold Spring Point Road. It's 9,581 square feet in size, and its challenge is that it is only 50 feet wide. It's in a R40 zoning district, and that requires 150-foot wide lot width. The subdivision was created prior to zoning.
Excuse me. Folks, if you want to talk, if you can go in the hallway, please.
So these lots along Cold Spring Point Road, which you're pretty familiar with, were created before zoning, and only two of the lots along Cold Spring Point Road have the 150-foot wide zoning compliant lot width. The Belfis are here tonight to request a pyramid law variance. We've been to the Conservation Board. We have a conditional approval. We're working through those conditions now. Some of what's going on the lot was created by the Conservation Board and pushing us back from the wetlands. Pyramid relief required is 5,620 cubic feet. I usually say square feet, but it is mitigated, and if you look at number 2, it is mitigated by pre-existing intrusion of 1,170, so the relief that we're looking for isn't as large as it appears. Like I said, the Belfis are going to knock the house down and rebuild. In that process, there'll be no change in the footprint. The house will go from FEMA non-compliant to FEMA compliant. There's a 268 square foot addition to the second floor, and that's the only increase in size. And I'd also note the buffer to the west, which I've highlighted on the survey. So there is more mitigation to the property to the west. That is an access point for the community to go to the beach at the front of the house, which fronts on Cold Spring Point Road. I call that the front. It's actually the rear, but it's 16 feet wide there, and the access is 13 feet wide, so it provides a nice buffer. The second part of the application shows you an aerial of the property, and then we also have the current and then the proposed conditions. One of the things that you'll notice is that we have an IA system that we're putting in there that will benefit the environment, along with the raising of the property. As part of the application, we did submit the intrusion, but again, it's 50 feet wide. To raise the house to meet FEMA and to have a second story, we'd require a variance no matter what. This is a picture of the existing conditions on the property. One of our challenges was that this part of the property flooded severely from the other side, from the pond, not from the bay side, but from the pond side, so we were squeezed on both sides. We did end up as high a point on the property as we could to allow for parking to happen, but since we're on the high point of the property, it raised us up more, so the pyramid law intrusion was a little more increased. I did give you an aerial showing you the property and what's going on along Cold Spring Point. Another aerial showing it more closely. We did submit a copy of the conditional approval. I also, as part of the exhibit, submitted 7 other pyramid law variances that were given along the street. It is highlighted by those in orange. The neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood is 2-story dwellings. Again, there's quite a few pyramid law variances. I've given you pictures of the of many of the two-story dwellings that are along that street. And finally, just to show the lot width issue that we are challenged with, that's a picture of the Suffolk County tax map, and it'll show you that none of these, are 150. And if you want a two-story residence, as this board has seen, you have to come in and get relief. So we believe that the requested variance is in the character of the neighborhood. It is not substantial based on the fact that we have to raise it under FEMA. We have no choice based on the narrowness of the lot, so there was no other alternative to the variance based again on the narrowness of the lot. 50 feet wide doesn't give you much room on the sides, although we're not looking for any side yard relief. It's going to, after this is constructed, it'll be far better for the environment with the IA system and the fact that we meet FEMA requirements. That's about it. Any questions? But
So we have issues.
Have you heard from any? Oh.
Yeah, we have issues with FEMA that require you to raise the house. Right. That's all. That will allow the house to be protected, and that's, although it's a decent amount of pyramid relief, it is to comply with FEMA. Have you heard, Brian was just going to ask, have you heard from them?
Eric spoke to the neighbors, and they're both supportive.
Okay. Just have to swear you in. Because,
He's a lawyer.
That's what you're an attorney. I don't have to swear you in. Okay.
Yes,
You
no.
State your name.
My name is Eric Belfi. The neighbors have all been asking us when we're going to do the construction, because as you can see from the pictures, the house is in not in great, doesn't look that great, and it's a little bit out of character with the houses around us that have been fixed up. So they are very interested in seeing the house fixed up, and they've also been very focused the fact that we're staying within the footprint, so they know we're not building some massive house, which I think would be, concern. But they are all, every neighbor I've spoken to is very happy about us fixing this house up.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to make sure that you're high enough, really, to deal with the flooding issues. So, I presume that you are, and that you've been given the advice in terms of making it high enough that you're not going to have a flooding concern from a major storm.
I believe we went a little bit above the FEMA. We're not even at the line. We added a few because we assume that line's...
You added a foot.
We assume that line's going to creep up as time goes forward.
Absolutely. And normally we try to have people do the minimum amount of pyramid relief or other relief necessary, but in these circumstances, we want you to be a little bit higher. Okay? Because we want to protect your house.
Yeah, and we wanted the long-term view. That's why we went higher than what we probably were required, and that's why we're doing it, because we want this for a long-term house.
Any questions from members of the board?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Belfi? If not, Brian.
Okay, we waiting on anybody, Candace?
Just con board and trustees.
the con board issued us a condition approval.
It's just a referral report in addition to, even if you already have a
All right, well, seeing or hearing no one, I move to close the public hearing. I'll leave it open for written submissions, being the referral reports. We'll put it on for 9/5 is our next meeting.
Yeah, they had a meeting last time.
All right, so 9/5 for decision. If we have all that, we get a decision. If we don't, it would be the following.
Second. Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn. Aye. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you all.
Have a great night.
Number 5 on tonight's agenda, 528 Mecox Road LLC. Property located at 528 Mecox Road in Watermill, New York. Suffolk County Tax Map 900-104-2-4. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code to legalize the location of an outdoor kitchen constructed without the benefit of a building permit. Section 33011 Residential District Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 8 feet where 20 feet is required. 2, Section 33076D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts. And Section 33083C, yards, to allow the outdoor kitchen to remain in its current location and any and all other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Pass that to Michael.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I believe you're an attorney, so I don't have to swear you in.
Yes, Madeline Van John, Tarbert and Lester, 132 North Main Street, East Hampton. So essentially what happened here is that previously there was an L-shaped a barbecue area that had a counter with it that was in existence at the time that the applicants last were in front of this board for a garage variance, and they subsequently got a building permit for that. The contractor believed that because the L-shaped barbecue was on there, that it either didn't qualify as a structure or whatever it was allowed to remain there. I guess they weren't aware at the time that the barbecue, because it was attached, then qualified as a structure. So at some point, they replaced the appliances on it, and then they added an additional section to it, which is basically an extra countertop. The extra countertop complies with the side yard setbacks because it's further in. The area that doesn't comply with setbacks is essentially where the appliances are. They've been there for some time. As I said, it was upgraded, and that's when the issue was discovered, when they were trying to get a CO to close out the garage.
Who was the contractor?
I'm not sure who the contractor was who built that. It was discovered when they were trying to close out all of that. I was working with someone who was basically the pool contractor, but my understanding is they didn't build that. So I'm not 100% sure who was the contractor for the garage.
The reason I'm asking about it is because typically if we have an as-built structure, we will ask for someone to come in to tell us how structures went up without permits. But I'm not sure in this circumstance whether our board wants to do that or not, because I can understand there'd be some confusion in a situation like this.
Right.
But I'm just really not sure whether, not that we doubt anything you're telling us, but whether we want to have someone with firsthand knowledge tell us, how this all came about, that structures went up without permits, even though we're talking about an outdoor kitchen.
It was on the survey when they got their permit, right, you're saying?
The original, the L shape that contains the appliances
Right.
was on the survey when they got their permit, so that, I understand that doesn't necessarily confer any status, but that was what led.
They weren't trying to hide it.
Right, that was what led to the impression that it was allowed or didn't need permits, because the appliances were just on the survey at that time.
Yeah, I was at the property today, as a matter of fact, and I have a problem with this. Having that cooking equipment literally 8 feet from the neighbor's property, I just don't, I'm not comfortable with approving that. This is a full acre, or virtually a full acre, in a very residential acre area. And I think that's the purpose of our zoning, is to make sure that things like this don't happen. And for it to have just been done without permits, I'm not comfortable approving this.
Right, I mean, I guess I understand, I guess the confusion was sort of, they didn't understand that simply by attaching the appliance, I mean, if they had the barbecue on wheels, it could be as close to the, to the yard as it is. As it's moved around, you could drag it right over to the edge and cook. There is about a 10-foot hedge on the property between the neighbor, and they, as far as I know, they've told me they've had no concerns with the neighbor, that it's been there. It's not near the neighbor's house. It's near the backyard and pool area.
Well, there's 3 cooking devices over on that part of the outdoor kitchen that's 8 feet away from the neighbor's property. There's what appears like a pizza oven, there's a giant, big egg, and then there's something else, another, it's just, it shouldn't be there.
Okay, well, one thing that we normally do in a situation like this, besides having the applicant come in, would be to ask for an estimate as to what it would cost to move the structures to a conforming location. So I don't know if we received anything, but if not, that's something, I think that would be helpful in terms of us evaluating the financial impact on the applicant of denial of the application and them having to move these structures to conforming locations.
To go back to your point, I'd rather have somebody with first-hand knowledge, if that's possible, to come in.
Yeah, so, okay, so that's 1, 2, I think I'm for that. Anybody else
I'm
want to have them
comfortable
come in?
with, based on the set of circumstances, not having the individual.
Okay. Brian?
We always have them come in, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we need to have either the applicant come in, the contractor come in, or both come in.
Okay.
Explain what
I will
happened.
try and see which contractor it is who has the firsthand knowledge.
Yep.
To get them to come in.
Yeah, okay. All right. But Before I do that, any other questions, members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening with the, in connection with the application of 528 Mecox Road LLC? This is 528 Mecox Road in Watermill. Okay, then the next question I have is when you'd like to come back. Our agenda is a little tight for the next couple of meetings. I think we can put it on for September 19th
Okay.
or September, you think, we okay? September 19th?
19th should be fine.
Really? Okay. All right. So if you could see who's available on September 19th, if for some reason they're not available on September 19th and you need a subsequent date, just let Candace know, and we can adjourn it at that point to a date in October.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay. Mike, you want to make a
Yeah,
motion?
so we will keep this open for all purposes for September 19th is the next possible date with the confirmation from the applicant's attorney.
Yeah, we have the date's going to be September 19th, and they'll let us know if it changes.
Right.
Okay. Second. All right, Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Sessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Number 6 on tonight's agenda, Frank Franzese, property located at 55 Alden Lane in Queog. Applicant requests relief from County Code Section 330-84D Pyramid for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 1,044 cubic feet would allow the existing dwelling to be raised and renovated on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Can you pass that to Cornelius?
Has some handouts.
Okay. Cornelius.
They want them. Give them all to me. All to me. And it's 7. Perfect.
Okay, I have to swear people in unless they're attorneys.
I'm not.
You're not.
We're not.
You're not. Okay. I'll let you get all your stuff together, and then I'll swear you both in. If you can both state your names and addresses, please.
My address where I live.
Whatever address you
Whatever
want to
address
give
you
us.
want. Frank Franzese, 25 East 86th Street, New York, 10028.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and sir?
Sal Iannone, 28 Rogers Lane, Remsenburg.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Yes.
but the truth? Okay, can you tell us about the application?
Okay, we have a property of 55 Alden Lane. We're proposing to raise the existing residence in place. The house is sitting very low to the grade. We want to raise it up to meet FEMA. In order to do that, we need a variance relief for the pyramid. This property is located in a A9. The floor of the house has to be at elevation 11 minimum. We are also proposing to relocate the sanitary system all the way up on Alden Lane, as far away from the wetlands as possible. The new house can be elevated to approximately elevation 16. That will give us room to put mechanicals underneath the floor of the house. The lower part of the house will be used for storage and a garage. The upper part of the house will be, when we lift the house...
Sal, you only have one packet of these?
Yeah, I only have one.
I thought they were...
Sorry.
okay.
I have drawings if the board wants
No,
drawings.
I just had a question before the subject. Katie, I thought if you were just lifting a house with a building permit, you didn't, if it violated pyramids, you didn't need a variance.
Yes, but you can't do any additions to it.
All right, so what's the situation with that is we have a deck at grade on the area in question,
Okay?
and it's not attached to the house, and when we raise this, we have to reconstruct it.
The deck. That's why you're here. Because otherwise, the house, you're not making any changes to.
The house we're going to lift, we're going to drop the floor, because the floor is up and down.
But you're not changing the roof line, not
No,
changing
we're gonna just renovate it in place.
Okay.
Yep. Not expanding it or shrinking it.
Pass that down.
If you want drawings, I have drawings.
It's up to you. I mean, if you want to submit it, it can't hurt to submit it.
Just one set or just 7?
There's enough, I think, for everybody. If there isn't enough, let me know.
But it's just, there's perfect.
Okay. All right, so these are pictures. Okay, so the good news is that the amount of pyramid relief is modest.
Yes.
So that is a plus. We did have, these are all different pictures, so just need to look at. We did have a comment from the building department.
Here's the original.
This is from Mike Benincasa, Chief Building Inspector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's what he said. The existing dwelling is located in the AE9 flood zone. Town Code 330-84D2A pyramid height would permit the existing dwelling to exceed the sky plane and exceed the maximum height requirement if the dwelling were to be raised to base flood elevation plus any freeboard required by the residential code of the state of New York. The proposal for this project is to raise the existing dwelling to an elevation of 16 feet or an elevation of 11 feet is required to be in compliance with current state and federal regulations. As such, a variance for pyramid relief is required. So, you're raising it for FEMA? Okay.
Yes. And we're raising it higher than we need to because we were going to put mechanical equipment underneath. So that's why the floor is a little higher than it needs to
Okay.
be.
Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
Not that I'm, not, you know.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll get to you in a second. Okay. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brian, did that answer your question when you raised?
Yeah, because he's
Okay.
going higher than FEMA, that's
I
why.
was like, oh, there's some-
So it's not just the deck, it's because you're going higher than what's required.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions, members of the board?
Let's hear from the neighbor.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Francis? I'm pronouncing it correctly?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So 55 Alden Lane in Queog.
Hi,
Okay.
I'm Nadine Adamson,
Okay, you can state your address?
39 Alden Lane.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and what would you like to tell us?
I have to say I'm very pleasantly surprised with this application. I was expecting a much bigger project that was proposed 5 years ago, and I support this raising, even though it is in my water views.
You're the neighbor to the,
I'm adjacent on two sides of this property. It says formerly Harriet Eckstein. We bought the property 6 years ago.
I believe this is the property?
Okay.
So you'd like us to approve? Yeah.
I support this.
Okay, good.
The only thing I would like to know is that there's a covenant on the flag lot driveway by the town of Southampton that was instilled, I think, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah?
At the previous application, I would just like the septic system, if it's being installed in that flag lot, that the covenant be respected.
Well, they're obligated to follow the covenant,
Right.
and so they have to.
Okay, I just like to make note that there is a covenant there.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's noted in this application.
Sure. Were you aware that there's a covenant?
No, I don't know what she's speaking of.
Okay. Well,
What is the covenant? I mean, well,
That the driveway is preserved as it is, and that the trees are protected.
The driveway is preserved where it is. The trees have to be, a couple of the trees have to be removed to put the system
Well,
in this
you
location.
might want to take a look at what the covenant says, because
Yeah.
it's something you're obligated to follow.
Mhm.
Okay. So I hope that nothing in the covenant is going to impact what you're looking to do, but you...
otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it.
Right, right. Okay, so you definitely should
Thank you.
make sure.
But I support this very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard? Again, this is application of Francis for 55 Alden Lane in Queog.
Candace, are we waiting on anything?
Yes, Conservation Board and Trustees also on this one.
All right, so I'll put it on for the next meeting, and if they don't come back, they'll come back. All right, so I'll move to close the public hearing, waiting on written subs from Con Board and Trustees with a written decision on September 5th.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Number 7 on tonight's agenda, John Stannon. Property is located at 430 North Main Street, Queog, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-377-1-36. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-84D Pyramid for the encroachment in the amount of 167 cubic feet, 91 cubic feet existing, 42 cubic feet proposed on the west side, 42 cubic feet on the west side, 49 feet on the east side existing. An addition of 76 cubic feet is proposed, 38 cubic feet to the west, 38 cubic feet to the east, for a proposed renovation of second floor of an existing dwelling on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you finish speaking, Brian?
Yeah, Brian finished.
The board has jurisdiction.
I'm sorry, just for the record, the address actually is 430 Main Street. That's a typo. It's actually 430 Main Street.
Not North Main Street.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, good evening.
Good
You
evening.
set to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
I'm not an attorney.
Okay, if you can state your name and address.
John Stannett, 430 Main Street, Quiog.
Okay. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you can tell us about your application.
Okay, there's a one-page handout that looks like this. It's
It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
should be circulating.
He's took it.
Yep.
So the top,
Just wait 1 second, I'll pass everything down. You just have the two things, the one page and then landmarks, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the original. Take one, pass them down.
yeah, so there's a landmarks. The property has been to the landmarks board, and they take no exception but to have a recommendation. So on the one-page handout, I just wanted to go over the existing structures because they sort of speak to why we're doing this. There's two structures, a four-bedroom front house and a two-bedroom cottage guest house in the back. The front house that we live in is a 1.5-story single-family dwelling, 4 bedrooms, 2 upstairs and 2 down, 2 baths, 1 on each floor, built in 1930. The core of the house is uninsulated, all has single-pane windows, and it has minimal closet and storage space. And this project is to address those problems. My wife and I I'm 75, she's 76. We currently use one of the upstairs bedrooms because it's the only one with 2 closets. And we'd like to get everything located down on the first floor, so the guest house is not being touched in this. So the objectives of this renovation are listed on the bottom half of the page. They are to provide a master suite on the main floor by combining 2 bedrooms and a bath into a master suite with a walk-in closet, and then also providing room for a half bath on the hallway. To provide an additional new bedroom with a bath on the second floor to replace someone that's lost on the first floor. So we go from 4 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. We insulate the entire house and provide heat and air conditioning there's a porch on the east side, so we're winterizing that. We're modernizing the home from an energy standpoint, so there's foam insulation of the entire house, replacing of all windows with dual pane windows, provide a new high-efficiency condensing gas furnace and central air conditioning, and providing additional windows on the south side of the upstairs to provide more natural light to the 2 bedrooms and a bathroom there. And finally, the exterior is being renewed. New cedar shingling will be installed and a new asphalt roof. So to do this, the existing structure has a gable roof that the axis of which runs parallel to the road, east-west, basically. And we're adding a little over 3.5 feet to the height, and we're having a gable that goes straight back toward the garage. And the new bedroom is housed in that gable. The raising of the roof results in a piercing of the pyramid plane. I can't see this, but the house...
Slight pyramid relief.
Yes.
Tiniest amount of pyramid relief. We're not sweating it.
It's not much.
Don't worry.
Okay. So, the total pyramid, the bottom piercings already exist.
I'm not even sure if it's the size of a refrigerator, the amount of pyramid relief we're talking about.
Well, I like your attitude. So we feel it's...
Almost nothing.
Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
I have spoken personally to all the neighbors. No one takes exception
I've gone over the detailed plans with 2 of the 6, and they're basically wishing us luck in the project.
Excellent. There's one other thing I want to get on record, and that this is an expansion of a non-conforming because there's a cottage and a house, and the applicant wisely took Candace's advice and has already provided us with the expansion calculations, which are 12.9%. Again, tiny. So I just want to put that on the record because it's going to go into the decision.
So what that means is it's 12.9?
Yes.
12.9% towards the 50% max.
Right.
Yeah. So you're kind of banking that amount towards that 50%. So
Okay.
you still have more room to expand, but there's a limit to it.
So that has the breakdown, Cornelius?
Yes.
Of what's existing in both of them?
Yes.
What's proposed, okay.
Expansion, existing and expansion on both of
Okay.
them.
And is the board okay proceeding with this as any other relief necessary? It
I
wasn't
am.
noticed?
I am.
Okay. Is there anyone here who wants to speak about this application?
Yep, this is the application of Stanet for 430 Main Street in Quiog. Okay.
Are we waiting on anyone? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, we're going to move close this application for all purposes with a written decision on September 5th.
September 2nd.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. DeCessa.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Number 8 on
I
tonight's
wasn't
agenda.
sure we were ever going to get here.
Well, you made it. You made it.
Wasn't plenty of time with that first application.
A lot of work, right?
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Daniel Edward Warner, for a property located at 24 Central Ave in East Quogue. Applicant requests relief from the following provision of the town code for a proposed 2-lot subdivision. 1, section 330-11, residential district table of dimensional regulations, for a lot width of 116.37 feet, where 120 feet is required for a proposed Lot 1, and 2, Section 330-82, lot width, for a flagpole width of 15.21 feet, where 20 feet is required, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, Kieran Pate Murphy, the attorney for the applicant, Daniel Edward Warner. I'm here tonight to talk about needing 2 variances and any other variances that are required. I gave you a packet because I wanted to first, I wanted to say that the lot width that we're proposing is 116.7 feet, where 120 is required, so we're 3.3 feet short. That's about 3% for the lot width. For the flagpole, it's going to be 15.21 feet, where 20 feet is required, so that's about a 24% reduction. This has already been to the planning board. I put that in the zoning package, so they've already looked at this, and they asked for a buffer for the neighbor to the south, kind of southwest. If you look on the survey, there's the proposed natural non-disturbance buffer, which is fine. The driveway's on the south side because the existing house is only 23.8 feet, and also that neighbor has like a parking area on that side of the parcel. This is not going to create an undesirable change. First, the variance is that substantial due to the character of the neighborhood. This is an R20 zone. The lots are adequate size. The packet I gave you deals with the northwest side, the adjacent lots. In the back, I put a tax lot number because right to the east of it, there is where the buffer's going to be, that was a result of a variance, which I put in the packet. And then, did I give it away? Maybe I gave it away. And then I also put which is lot 38, I put in, did I give you an extra? Oh, but here it is, an extra packet. That one was just two lots. It wasn't, wasn't part of a variance. It was just, it doesn't have road frontage. This is going towards the east. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 flag lots. And then if you look at the street frontage, there's smaller lots that are 50. On the west side, there's one lot that has 154, but the other ones are around 100. Then I have for across the street, because again, this is lot 32. I figured out where it would be across the street, another tax lot number, and that one, I guess you have to give me one back. If you look across the street, because down the street there's a school, the lot widths are directly across the street. There's a large flag lot, 52, but most of the flag lots are around, most of the street frontage is around 100, 80, 84, 85. There's a lot of small, narrow lots across the street. We don't see this creating an undesirable change to the neighborhood because there are flag lots and there are street frontages that are, below the 120 feet. And flag lots are common within the town and in this area. We respectfully request that, you grant this. As for neighbors on this variance, I just heard from a neighbor in the back that fronts on Lewis Road, and he just really wanted a change on the survey. He just, he didn't really, of course he'd like it to be one lot, but he wasn't really, for it. Because he has woods back there now, but he wasn't really, he said he kind of just realized that was the way, it's going to happen. So that would be, he only has a little corner. If you look, we're lot 32. The one that called me is lot 34 on Lewis Road.
Okay.
So that's basically it. And like I said, the planning board we've already gotten a pre-application report.
Yeah.
That hopefully you can use that as a referral.
At least 3 lots over,
Yeah.
heading to the, east.
Yes.
Are all similar to what is being proposed.
Yes, and I submitted the
Yeah.
variances, so
Um,
if you have any.
I have a question, and maybe I'm missing it. Do I have to add up a couple of numbers in order to get to the 116.37 on the survey? Because I was looking for that number and I couldn't find it.
Yes, I had,
Because we need to have, something showing that number, because we're asking for relief for that number on the survey.
We got 115.10.
Yep.
okay, well, if you allow me to just clarify that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I did see it, but right now,
Okay.
Fine.
You
Or
know,
if you-
I-
we'll leave it open for written subs if they
We'll
got
leave
it.
it open
with
for written
math
subs.
and-
We just need to make sure it's there.
yeah, I
That's all.
will make sure that that's correct. If not, if you allow me to
Yep.
submit a more clear
Of course.
thing,
All right.
I will.
And the other question I had was, had to do with the flag. So typically, when we have requests to have reduced flags below 20 feet, we'll ask for something from fire and ambulance. I know that there was already something submitted, not to us, but I believe we have
In the-
references in the planning board, what we got from the planning board, the pre-application report that included.
Gosh, it's on page 3 of the pre-application report. They said they
Yep.
had no
No concerns. So we,
recommendations.
Department of Fire Prevention, we have East Quad Fire Department, both with comments. So the only question is whether we want to, can we get copies of those documents that were submitted?
Sure, I'll get it from the
Okay.
planning
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, that should be in the file, as long as they're okay with it, they don't have an issue with it, and the planning board doesn't have an issue with the smaller flag. I just want to make sure that it's adequate for emergency vehicles to get in.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's all. And I think it probably is, because it's over 15, or around
It's
15
pretty-
feet.
When I went to put the sign, it's flat.
Yeah.
Topography, it's not hilly.
Okay.
I've seen situations where,
Yeah.
like this.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. And that was all, those are the only questions I had. Any other questions from members of the board?
Anybody here?
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Warner for 24 Central Avenue in East Quogue? I just have to swear you in, if you can state your name and address.
Stephen Jufrey, 28 Central Avenue.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Steve, can you spell your last name for me?
Giuffre.
G-I-U.
FFRE.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let us know what you'd like to tell us.
I'm not sure if you guys got all the information from the planning board, like that we have a petition from 10 of the neighbors.
We wouldn't have gotten it unless someone
Okay.
brought it to the ZBA.
Right.
We
Okay.
don't have
I
shared
didn't know
files.
if they give you like whatever they
No,
have. We start over.
no. It's pretty
Okay.
much, we're separate. We're separate.
Okay, so I have.
You can submit that.
I'd like to submit that.
Yeah.
And also, I would just like you guys to look at like the aerial view rather than just the survey. I printed it out.
That's
so
fine.
You can
We
see.
We do have aerials that we get, but
Okay.
feel free to
Yeah,
submit
this
that
is
as
from
well.
the town website, the GIS anyway, but
Yep.
just because there is on the other side,
Yep.
like a pre-existing non-conforming that will make our house directly in view of it.
Mhm.
I guess so it's not just like a regular subdivision for us, it's more.
Yeah.
Which property, I'm just trying to think.
You're
Yeah. Yeah, which property is yours? Where are you compared to?
The one where they put the
The proposed.
20-foot buffer.
Oh, so
Oh,
you're
the
adjacent
proposed
to
buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a different name on the survey, that's why I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's where they put the proposed buffer.
So I just want to explain just a little bit about these types of applications, because it gets a little confusing. When it's an application for subdivision, the applicant has to get subdivision relief from the planning board, and then if they need variance relief related to their subdivision, they have to come to us.
Okay.
So we have an application for relief that is very modest relief, having to do with the lot width of the lot being slightly less than 120 feet, and the width of the flagpole, that is the flag access. So we have an application before us that is for lot width, 120 feet to 116.37 feet for the lot, and then for the flag, the access to the lot, 20 feet to 15.21 feet. But the underlying subdivision application is before the planning board, not before us. We're not empowered to grant
Well,
subdivision.
without this variance, they can't do the subdivision.
Well, it's-
So
they need-
you guys
they need
are
approval.
sort of like in charge of accepting the subdivision or not, right?
It's both. It's both. Both boards are dealing with the application in different ways. But I mean, the major part of it is the subdivision itself, which
No,
is,
but he's correct. They can't subdivide if they don't get the
it
variance.
absolutely is correct. They can't subdivide without approval from this board. It's absolutely correct.
Which lot are you? I'm sorry, I can't.
20, it's right where they put the buffer on the,
I don't know if I don't have that on this version of the survey. Are you fronting Central Avenue?
can I'll show you.
Yeah.
No, it's
This
on
is
the
just a
back.
printout of the GIS. So you can see, this is my house, this is the woods where they're gonna,
So this is your
Yeah.
house.
here.
So you're a flag lot.
So you're
I'm a
you're
flag
here
lot.
here.
He's a
Yeah.
flag lot.
And my driveway, my street frontage is 20 feet, like every other driveway on our street. I know there are some smaller than 100
Hold
in
on.
front.
Are we getting you on the tape? We need to,
Okay.
I'm sorry, we need you.
But that's just it, I mean, you can have it, just a printout on the.
No, I can't.
We just need you near a microphone,
Okay.
because
Okay.
otherwise it doesn't get on the tape.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that.
So I know there are some lots that are smaller than the 120 feet, but I did not see any that have a driveway of less than, a street frontage of less than 20 feet.
Okay.
And I think, as a firefighter, that, a driveway starts out, it's 15 feet, but then they put a fence on one side, a fence on the other, maybe trees, and before you know it, you can't get the truck down there, and,
Well, we're asking for copies of the actual letters from the fire department.
Okay.
As to what their recommendation is.
Okay.
Okay, because we're not, speaking for myself, I'm not inclined to grant relief for anything where a fire or ambulance, whoever it is that we're getting a letter from, it says that they can't get access to a property. That is a problem for us. But in my experience, usually, if it's 15 feet wide, usually we'll get a positive letter from.
well, I mean, since the law doesn't allow it, you guys have to kind of grant some sort of like reason why we should allow it, and I just saying that I don't, I have the 10 neighbors that signed it. It would be benefiting one person at the expense of other people, I guess, is, and I think.
So you'd like this to remain as a single lot, correct?
Yes.
And what is the 10 neighbors, what's their main objection?
Their one neighbor across the street, where the driveway is directly across from her bedroom window, so the lights are going to bother her. The neighbor in the back, the one that called, he has a well right close to the property line, I guess, and he's concerned the septic will, there's other, I guess.
Overflow.
And then also just that the commercial is on the other side, and that is now.
I got to be honest with you, okay? Because there are at least 3 properties adjacent to this property that are also of the same type of configuration, it's a very hard sell for me to be convinced that that the applicant isn't entitled to subdivide here. But in any case, the subdivision's not before us, so, only the variance.
But it can only happen with the variances, I guess, so
That's correct.
I try to make my case to
I
you, and
understand.
bring the concern of the other neighbors, and obviously, it's not something that we all want, and I just think that it seems fair to, I guess, give the greater number of people what they want versus the one person.
Well, we have to consider when there's ever a variance application, we have to consider the 5-part area variance test. And part of that is the impact on the community, if it's on the neighborhood. So if in fact you could convince the majority of this board that it would be such a negative impact to have a 2-lot subdivision here, that it will negatively impact your use of your property, then that can be persuasive. It's part of the test, not the entire test, but part of the test.
Do you want to submit that petition, or do you want to make
Yeah,
copies of it?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to understand
This is
how.
a copy of it, or do you need the original?
The copy's fine.
Okay.
And I'm trying to understand how this lot being subdivided into 2 lots will negatively impact you. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I guess my house is only 20 feet away from the property. And so right now I have how I look at it, I have a 120-foot buffer from the commercial that's on the other side of my lot. Now with 20 feet is really not a lot when you think they're all larger, like deciduous trees. So I have maybe 5 trees that are not evergreen, that are not really blocking anything for me. So that's what I'm looking at, in addition to the house that they're going to build, or, and I did my research, and when I bought my house, and I looked into that, they were not able to subdivide it based on the zoning that was at that time, about 10 years ago when I.
Yeah, well, a subdivision application is something that really, it's a different type of a process than just what zoning allows. I mean, I think it's a little tricky to try to figure out what people are going to do in terms of what your neighbors are going to do before different municipal boards. I appreciate the fact that you are concerned about this affecting you, and I hear that, and I understand that. But we have to weigh the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to the neighbors. And so that's what we do as a board, and we have to do it looking at that 5-part area variance test.
Okay, also then, I'd like to add that the school's right there, so like, a lot of people are on that sidewalk, it just adds more traffic in and out, and I think like the neighbor said in the petition, it just doesn't really help anyone except the one person that just bought it at a bargain sale. The value they bought it, there's no really reason to grant relief to make it 2 lots, since they got it at like a reduced price to begin with, I guess.
Well, I don't know if that's a consideration.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not like they need it, like, to live there, or, they paid like a ridiculous amount of money for it. Like, it will be just like handing them another $300,000 and taking away money, because my house now will be worth less. I guess I just want to point that out, that it just doesn't really seem fair, and I know it's not allowed under the current zoning, so I was hoping that maybe, since the neighbors are concerned and everything, that maybe you wouldn't, I guess, grant that relief, since there's not like a great reason to grant it, I guess. you know,
Okay, all right.
that's,
Okay. All right, those are your comments, and I appreciate you coming in and letting us know.
Thank you.
I want you, what you're telling us, I want you to tell the planning board, okay?
Okay.
I absolutely, want you to do that, okay?
well, they didn't really seem to care, so.
Um,
At least you guys seem like you care, so thank you.
That's,
If the variance is granted, the planning board's not going to deny the application.
It's really up to the variance. If they don't get a variance, then it's not subdividable. If they get a variance, then obviously it's going to be subdivided, so.
Did you go to the planning board already?
Yes,
You did.
Okay.
and we sent them that petition and everything, and,
Yeah, that's probably why they put the buffer in.
Yes.
And, the planning board has their own considerations, but they won't deny it if the variance is granted.
Right. Okay. All right, appreciate your comments.
well, thank you for at least giving me the opportunity to.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, all right,
Thank you.
When do we find out, I guess, on your decision?
Well,
Well, I'm gonna-
shortly, we'll let you
Not
know.
tonight,
when. It's not going to be tonight. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Warner? Kieran, do you want to respond?
yes, Karen, I would just like to comment that the neighbor that just spoke, his subdivision was the result of a variance, and he got relief, his lot got relief, which is in your packet. It's 28 Central Avenue, got rear yard relief for a pre-existing house to 46 feet. And I'll hand in this aerial photograph. He has a pool, and he did comment at the planning board, and the planning board did put a buffer on the, right where his house is, where his pool is and his house is.
How much of a buffer?
It is 20 feet. When you think about, this is an R20 zone, what the side yard setbacks are. Also, even when he bought that house, a accessory structure could have been put back there, 20 feet from the property line. A pool could have been put there. So, you can't assume that there would never be any activity. There's no clearing restrictions here. And again, if you look at the neighborhood, which I put in the tax maps, very few lots meet the 120-foot width for street frontage. And flag lots are common in this neighborhood as well as in the town. And again, I respectfully request relief. These lots meet the minimum square footage. And it was, we've already had the pre-application. And I will clarify the 116.7 feet. And I will get from the fire department, from the planning board file, and
How long would you need to get the?
Since it's probably a week,
So, if
yeah. I'm going to go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just have to get it
We have 3 weeks
out.
between meetings, so.
Yeah, so I could get that. It's
This-
in the
this
plan.
Next one is 3 weeks.
so
So that's,
September 5th?
Yes.
September 5th, if I have a decision, you're
yes.
good with that? Okay.
Yes.
Candace, we waiting on anything else?
No, I just have planning board written down, but I also have that we did receive a copy of the adopted report from one of the planners.
We
I
did.
just want to confirm with them that they're using
That's
that
what
as
I-
their referral.
Yes,
Yes.
and that was what I was mentioning.
I'll double
Yeah,
check, but I think
okay.
that's what he said.
Okay, thank you, Candace.
I think that's in that chart.
I'm going to go get it.
The plan
If they don't have it.
He did. It was, Matt did a memo stating that please find the pre-application report, and it shall serve as a referral report to the ZBA. That's what
So
it
then,
says.
so then we're not waiting for anything from our
Yeah.
side.
Okay, thank you, Candace.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing. I will leave it open for written submissions for a revised survey, copies from ambulance, and I will have a written decision for you at our next meeting, September 5th.
Yeah, I think it was fire department is what we.
Fire
had.
department.
Fire department, okay,
Yes.
September
They're just fire.
We don't have anything from the volunteer ambulance?
No, we have the fire department.
Fire,
Department ambulance.
okay, okay,
Same.
all right, okay,
Okay,
all right,
okay.
We're going to wait and see what they have to say.
yep, okay. All right.
Do you want me to
Second.
clarify that?
Why don't we clarify that? So do we want to just take what already was submitted to the planning board, or do we want to have them do a new letter?
We haven't seen it.
That's right. We just
So
want
we
to
have the planning board.
submit what they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing, leave it open for written subs. For the survey, copies of the fire department. I'll have a decision on 9/5/19.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, you can call the day after. Call Candace to find out what the decision was. Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Evan, number 11 on tonight's calendar, Robert and Catherine Canberg, 11 Crestview Drive in Remsenburg, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-369-1-59. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening. I believe I swore you in previously, but if you
Yes,
could
sir.
state your name.
Mayron Talai, T-A-L-A-I.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. I was here a month ago requesting 4,311 cubic feet of relief. You mentioned that if we can try to cut it back by about 500 to 1,000 cubic feet. So we did so by architecturally lowering the slope of the roof from 9 on 12 to 7 on 12. We initially didn't want to do that, but that was the only choice we had without changing the plan. So the roof went from 9 on 12 to 7 on 12. By doing so, we reduced the requested cubic feet by 886 square feet. So it went from 4311 to 3425, sir.
It's cubic feet.
Cubic feet, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
Yes,
Good job.
That's all right. Thank you. Appreciate your taking the effort to make.
Do we have all that?
I think we just got
Unless
it.
it was in the tonight's.
I don't know, the record says we got it on August 1st.
I think I
Okay.
submitted it.
I'll look for it, but Jason's the lead, so if he has it, good.
I don't think.
You can have my copy if you wish.
Yeah.
I submitted on the first.
It would've came with your original package if you.
Oh, then you know what? I'm just.
No, it didn't come with the original.
No, I'm sorry. it was-
With the submittals.
The submittals back
Yes,
in
I was
July.
looking in the right spot.
You were. Yeah.
You want to just give me your copy?
Sure, this is yours, sir. You want I can initial it? or-
Sign it.
Yes.
If we have it
No,
signed
you know
one
what?
in the file, it's fine.
Yeah, Miran, don't worry about it. Yes, and I'll scan it and email it to you, because I have to sign a copy of mine.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Questions from members of the board? Nope. Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Canberg for 11 Crestview Drive in Remsenburg? Nope. If not, Jason.
Candace, anything else?
No,
No?
that's it.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing for all purposes. I can have a decision for you at our next meeting, September 5th.
Second.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for your efforts
Thank you.
in making the
Yeah,
change to the
seriously.
application.
Thank you, sir.
We do
Thank
very
you,
much
board
appreciate
members.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
14 on tonight's agenda, Juliana Alberechin. Properties at 192 Brookhaven Avenue in Flanders, New York. It's a holdover application.
The flogging has commenced. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, back for more.
Back for more. How are you?
Okay.
Okay. Do you need to swear in,
I
Juliana?
do. If you can just state your name and address.
My name is Juliana Albarracin. The address is 192 Brookhaven Avenue, Flanders, New
And-
York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. So pretty much what we did is we put this over from the last time because we wanted to get you to let us know how structures went out without approvals, without permits. So we wanted to get an explanation of that, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about what happened.
Okay, it's the first time when I bought the house, and I don't have an idea exactly. It's not legal when I rent and the star.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, because I scared me because I can speak a lot of English, so
You're
I
doing
say.
fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm a little nervous. Okay.
No, you're fine.
So I say at the first time when I bought the house, and I don't have idea exactly. It's not permit when I rent out in the second floor, because I try to help me with for pay the rent, the mortgage.
Okay, so you rented it out, and you didn't have approvals for the apartment, correct?
Yes.
And you rented it out?
Yes.
Was the apartment built when you bought the house, or was it built after you bought the house?
No, when I bought the house, is coming like the three bedrooms. I added the kitchen.
Okay.
After.
Okay. So you had a contractor at the kitchen? You had to hire someone to put in the kitchen?
No.
No, her husband does some general contracting.
He
Okay.
worked and
He
this.
did, he did, okay. All right, so that's how it occurred. Okay. The reason we wanted you to come in is because when we have applications for what's called as-built structures, structures that are put up without permits, we want to know why it happened, or how, and why it happened, how it happened, the circumstances. And we do this for almost all of these types of applications, just so you know.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have too many structures going up without permits, and it's it's something that concerns us. But I appreciate the fact that you're here to try to correct it and legalize.
Yeah, I want to, make everything right now.
Right, right. But it helps us to understand how it happened. So, is your husband a contractor? Is he a builder?
Yeah, he weren't.
Okay. Okay. All right. So he should have known. Yeah, he definitely should have known that he needed permits to do this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because before I live in Bayshore.
Okay.
So I moved for this town 1 year ago.
A year ago. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm new.
Welcome to Southampton.
Thank you.
He works for a contractor. He's not the contractor. He works for a contractor.
Yes, sorry. This is.
What is the name of the company he works for?
He has a small company. He started with the name is Joby Constructions.
I'd like to see him.
Oh, he traveled to Ecuador because has a personal problem with the family, and he can. It's
And when
impossible.
is he coming back?
I guess on September 1st coming because he don't know has this appointment and this time when he traveled the emergency for Ecuador.
Okay. But, so he did the work, but the two of you made the decision, you and your husband made the decision to have the kitchen put in?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We want people to get permits before they do things, so definitely would encourage in the future you to do that.
Okay.
In the future, call Mr. Springer, he'll
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Nobody introduced him before we
Yes,
came.
we still have 3 bedrooms up there.
No. We're converting one
Two.
to a den or an
Yeah.
office, and it will fall under the housing authority for a 2-bedroom, which will then, they will have to, obviously, we're going to have to get new tenants because the new tenants that are in there will not fit. It's not going to work for them. So now we have to start and do the actual, with code enforcement and housing with Diana Weir, and go through that process.
And have a rental permit. You
Yeah.
have no rental permit right now, is that right?
No, we have to, well, we can't get the rental permit until we get to this part.
Right. Right.
So then we go from here, then we have to legalize this through the building department. Once they give us a CO, then we have to take that to code enforcement and Diana Weir simultaneously, and then the new tenants will have to get screened and the whole, it's a little bit of a,
And is the accessory apartment still going to be 73% of the total floor area?
yeah, we can't change the floor area. All we can do is change the bedroom count.
Well, you could make the apartment smaller.
This is pre-existing, this is how the house was built, so it's virtually, I mean,
Well, you added a kitchen, so you made it
well, the
larger.
kitchen was the rec room at the time. When the house was, the original floor plan of the house,
Show us the floor plan.
this is the new one, if anybody wants it.
Just if it's not in the record, we can't consider it.
What's that?
Is it in the record?
What do you mean?
Have you submitted it?
This? No, I'm gonna put it in here.
So right now, we have a record that has
Yes.
3 bedrooms.
Yes. Well, I didn't even know.
Anything else?
I have 8 if you would like. How many you want?
Who's the lead on this?
I have Brian.
Councilor Brown?
I'm gonna hold one just for a second, but, so if you look at the kitchen as it sits, this is the original layout, except the kitchen at the time when it was first built was a rec room, and there was nothing but bedrooms up here. The only thing that changed was they put in the kitchen, obviously, we've gotten to that far, and now that, because there are tenants there that have too many children, we're not going to be able to do that, and it's obviously not allowed. We are going to convert that to a den or an office, and then we'll have to follow the guidelines as set forth with the town to get somebody in there who can, and thus also through the affordable housing, which is Diana Weir.
All right.
How do you know that the person isn't gonna use that as a bedroom?
Well,
You can call it a den and office, but you don't know once the person moves in what to do.
I don't know that about any apartment or house.
Well, except sometimes if it's a studio apartment, unless there would be
This is not a
construction done
studio.
on it, it wouldn't. not
Understood,
fly.
but this is not a studio, so this is a,
That's what I'm saying, it's possible that this still could be a 3.
well, anything's possible, but they have to,
Does the
that's,
building department look at these to make that determination?
How many bedrooms it is?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes. They may-
If they made 3 bedrooms and they're only allowed 2, they should take a wall down, so that they're.
well,
That's what I'm asking.
Well, what they may make us do, and which we will do, is we rely on the, if we have to take out the closet and open up the wall, then that's what we will do, to make it a legal.
But we need to know that now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
we
we're
need
gonna
to-
reference in a decision, the plans. That's my only concern.
This is not
Yeah,
acceptable
you
to
can't have a
me.
room
Like-
and not call, and just call it a den.
That's my only, that's
Yeah, it
my,
seems like nothing changes except for the wording.
Right, no,
That's
I understand that. So if we have to take out this closet and open up this, normally through the building department, you have to have at least a minimum of a 4-foot opening as to constitute a office or rec room or gym or whatever it is. It has to be at least a double door. In order to do that, we will have to take out this closet most likely and take out part of this wall. The only piece that we would keep is obviously, I don't know if you know, but that would be the refrigerator right there. So this whole section can come out and open
Yeah,
up.
and here's what I would suggest. And, you know, and Helen, I know you're concerned about kind of what's going to happen here.
I'm
So,
not
but-
concerned about what's
but
gonna
keep in
happen,
mind,
just-
this is part of the accessory apartment law. So this is going to be scrutinized, like, as of, like, right now.
No, but this board cannot grant.
I can't grant relief on this
Correct.
plan.
You
I
can't.
understand.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I
that's what I'm
understand.
saying. It's
Well,
not-
what I was going to suggest is that you talk to the building department and you know, bring them this plan and say that it needs to be changed to a configuration that's acceptable to them.
That's fine, which and like I said, I know what's going to be, because I've done a million of
Yeah,
these,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's gonna happen, is that closet A is gonna have to come out.
Yeah, yeah.
Because any room with a closet, technically, even through the Board of Health or through the building department, can be deemed a bedroom.
Yeah, so it may mean that this den, what is currently identified as a den office, is just going to have to be a really big living room instead.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it as a part of making the kitchen larger or incorporating it into the living room.
But before we go into scrutinizing this in such detail, I think the building department should be taking a
I
look.
agree 100%.
That's fine, I don't have an issue with that, I mean, she knows that we have to make it a 2-bedroom, that's,
Right.
or else it's not gonna happen,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
the bottom line.
But it has to be changed, and the den office can't be walled like this. It needs to be an open area.
So-
And yeah.
What's basically gonna have to happen is we're gonna have to put in a building permit, and then it's gonna be, I'm gonna put it in with the wall down,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be denied, sending me back here, and then that's when you can make it, that's how then you're gonna render, that's how it's always happened before.
Really? Okay. Which means you're going to have to come back again.
Yes,
And we still have to deal with the 73%.
what's that?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
In-
I mean, this board looks at these all the time. You're saying you're going to withdraw this application?
No, I'm not gonna withdraw it, I'm just gonna put in an application with the building department as the wall down.
Why don't you just go get an opinion from them?
I could do that
With a
also.
set of plans.
Yeah, just go-
We're gonna make a
just go
decision
fix
based
the
on a set of
plans.
plans.
Okay, that's fine.
And then if they, and we leave it open for written subs and submit the revised plan to us. If it's acceptable to us, we can
Okay.
render a decision based on that. If there's an issue.
Yeah, the only reason I was going the
no-
other way was because I'm going to need a building permit anyway. But
I understand.
However you wanna do it.
We're not trying, we don't not looking to make this any more difficult than necessary, but the building department needs to be part of this.
all right, so I will set up a meeting with Dennis, and I'll have him write his opinion on what the plan I will show him without obviously, the closet and the wall.
Okay.
Yeah, and then get new plans.
Now, the other thing that Helen mentioned is she's concerned about the 73%. I'm not sure where the rest of the board is on that percentage. It is a big percentage.
Well, unfortunately, as far as you can see the layout, there's not much I can do with, it's a two-story house.
Right.
You know.
And as it says here, it's 32,000 square feet is required, you don't have 30.
Well, it's 20,000 in that area.
Well, it says, where did,
As per the housing authority, you don't, in Flanders is deemed a workforce housing area, you don't need the 32, they lowered that to
You
the
have
20,000.
I'm sorry, Kevin, you still need the 32. It does not include you from the rest of that section of the
Oh,
town
I
code.
see. Okay, my
That's the
apologies.
80% number. Even though you can
I might
go down
have
to
to
20,000.
I don't remember.
2 years ago, maybe.
No, yeah, this
You have a
is,
memo from the housing authority that says that?
I told you, it was a town code amendment.
Oh, it's a town code.
Yeah.
Okay. But Helen, the thing you were concerned about is the percentage, 35% to 73%.
Very, very high.
Okay, well, I'm just not sure what the rest of the board is on this. What would be required in order to change that percentage would be to take away some of the space that is for the accessory apartment and make it part of the primary living area. And the trick about this is that I believe it's divided by floor.
yes,
So
exactly.
we have one floor, what's done here is one floor is for the owner, and the other floor is for the accessory apartment. And when you do that percentage on the floors, you come up with 73%. And the only way to change that would be to have part of the second floor be used by the owner.
How much space do they have downstairs?
The first floor is 982 square feet, a little less than 1,000.
And how many bedrooms they have there?
They only have 2 also,
They have 2 bedrooms downstairs.
yes.
And how many children do they have now?
How many, this will be your second child, 2.
I mean, typically, this board, when you have situations like this, you have allowed them to have that space because, when people convert their basement, you're like, the space is existing, it makes sense, I mean, that is a typical variance that you do give.
It is. The other thing about this is the impact on the neighbors. What impact in terms of, not that I don't care about I mean, if it was 35% to 99%, well,
Right.
That would be a bit of, I think, an issue, but in terms of having an accessory apartment versus having the owners, living there, exactly what percentages between the apartment and the primary structure, it's arguable either way as to whether it has any impact on
And the
neighbors.
only thing I can say is that obviously we've had no opposition to this. I mean, there's several on that street. It's becoming a very dense area as far as apartments because it's a very affordable. Everybody's getting pushed west.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing about this is the underlying intent of the accessory apartment law, which is to allow people to be able to afford to live in the town of Southampton.
This is all part of the Riverside revitalization,
Well,
And I'm
and-
okay with the 73%.
Okay, all right, because, I mean, that's, if we reduce the size of the accessory apartment, we'll be reducing the amount of rent they can receive. And
I'm
that
okay
may-
with the 73% too.
All right,
Good.
Cornelius, you're okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise you have to chop off part of your house.
Right.
Or have part of the downstairs be used be blocked off essentially.
Right. If it was a finished basement, it would be a little bit of a
requirement.
different story, but it's a little bit harder when it's the second floor.
We gotta get, I'm okay with the plan, but let's see what the building department says.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the only other question I have is, are we going to close it for written subs, or do we want to have you come back again?
I'd like to keep it open and him come back with some declaration from the building department and with a new survey showing me where that wall is down and how you've reconfigured it to make it truly 2 bedrooms.
A new floor plan.
Floor-
Yeah.
Right, not
No, we have to do that anyway.
I'm okay with written subs, but I'm not the lead.
That doesn't matter to me. What do you want, Michael? I'm okay with written subs.
Okay, Cornelius?
As long as you show it to us, and written subs is fine.
Okay, all right.
And if we have questions, we'll bring it back.
Right.
Or do you want to just come back in case we have questions and then make it one meeting instead of
Yeah,
one?
you can come,
That's up to
choose
you.
to come back.
Your call.
If we can get on the next meeting, because I can get a meeting with Dennis rather quickly.
Yep.
If we can do that, and that'd be the last
That way, I'm
meeting.
just, that way.
Right, that, well, the way you're thinking is what I'm thinking, is that we might as well just,
Do
in case there are questions, let's just get them done and over with.
All right, so we'll put it over for 9/5 for all purposes. You don't have to come back now.
Oh, okay, I think about
Just Mr. Springer.
because Oxide is my baby with my grandma.
No,
No problem.
Just Mr.
But
Springer.
we do greatly appreciate you
And
coming in.
congratulations.
Oh,
Yes.
well, thank you. Thank you for the patience.
Tell your husband no more building without.
No, now I'm the boss. So. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have a second on the motion? Okay, Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn? Aye. Ms. Burgess? Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Kept open at 9:05.
Number 15, Hampton Cove Realty, property located at 4 Penny Lane in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900, 323-2-6.1.
Okay, you have an update for us?
Well, I submitted,
I saw.
has anybody had a chance to read it?
No, we just got it.
You just got
Okay.
it.
I haven't read
I think it's dated the 15th.
It is.
Yeah, but it was, obviously.
But I'm just for the record.
I know, I saw that myself.
Today is the 15th.
You'll give us a summary.
Well, do you want to read that, and then let's do one more meeting and go over whatever your questions have, and then, because, I mean, that would be.
Yeah.
Well, you're coming back in 9:05 anyway.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
We got a lot on
Let's-
9/5.
We do.
Just give me like 2 seconds and just
Okay.
take a look at this.
This one, if you want to push to the second meeting in September, I'm okay with that.
Oh, that would be better
Give
for
me 1
me.
second.
Hold on, we gotta see the
for you?
numbers.
Yes.
Wait, we gotta see the numbers before.
Well, I know what the numbers were before, when we got started. They were high.
Right, but I think Mr. Gilmore told me he was not gonna be here on
He did.
the 5th.
He did.
So that may change what I have here.
Okay.
Let's see, so September 5th. Okay, so it's still gonna be 9, 10, 11, 18. You still have?
1 month?
You're still at like 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe even 15. There's one re-add on that makes sense. Yeah, no, not 9/5.
Not
There's
9/5.
there's
One in
also, I
there?
think
Really?
there's two modifications coming
What's
with it.
what's the
I'm sorry,
best-
Kevin.
What, give me the dates on the next, what's the first meeting in October?
Thought there was
October 3rd.
We're right on 19.
The
October
19th
3rd,
you-
I'm
19th you
away.
may be okay.
He just said he was away on the 19th.
No, I'm away on the 3rd of October.
Okay.
So then we can have.
Let's put it on for the 3rd.
You'd have the
We could do
19th.
September
19th.
19th.
All right.
19th should be fine.
Adam, you're in the lead.
Okay.
9/19.
All right, so I will move that we adjourn the application of Hampton Cove Realty LLC until, or for all purposes, until our September 19th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Ms.
Aye.
Burgess? Mr. DeSessa? Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Kevin,
Thank
I
you.
swear, I thought there was like half a thing.
One was better than none. Thank you.
I'll buy you,
All right,
I'll
is
buy you
anybody
one.
waiting on any applications?
No, I was telling you. Give me a second.
Okay.
Start reading. Second.
A determination in the matter of Das Properties, 8 Oak Road, Noyak, New York. I'll read the relief at the end. It's located at, again, 8 Oak Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-5-5-65. R10 zoning district. Applicant took the premises by deed December 28th of 2018. Premises is vacant and benefits from a ZBA decision 017009 dated January 19th of 2017, finding a lot single and separate. Type 2 pursuant to SECRA. Wayne Bruin, attorney for the applicant, stated the variance is to construct a 1,266 square foot two-story dwelling. Mr. Bruin explained that the premises is a single and separate lot entitled to the benefit from Code 33115, and notwithstanding this, a building envelope with such setbacks will not allow them to build a house. As the envelope has a 17.5 foot depth, Mr. Bruin stated that the proposed dwelling is modest with a first floor of 740 square feet and a second floor of 400. Proposed pyramid encroachment is negligible and the result of 2 dormers. Mr. Bruin submitted variances from the surrounding neighborhood and the properties of similar condition. It does meet the 5-part test. Therefore, for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants the following relief. Town Code for a 2-story dwelling with attached deck. Town Code Section 330-115D2 for a proposed principal rear yard setback of 22.9 feet where 23.8 is permitted. Town Code Section 330-84D for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 864 cubic feet, 432 cubic feet to the north and south respectively. Town Code Section 330-105A, schedule of minimum and maximum floor area to allow the first floor to be 740 square feet where 800 square feet is permitted. All as shown in a survey by Martin Donald Hand of Hands On Surveying dated November 26, 2018, as revised May 3, 2019, and the plans stamped by Edward Armas dated May 7, 2019. The grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions as permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire.
Second.
Mrs. Sessa.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a decision on minor variance in the matter of the application of 102 North Road LLC in Hampton Bays. The subject premise is located at 102 North Road, Hampton Bays, Town of Southampton, County of Suffolk, and State of New York. This board finds the subject application to be a type 2 action under secret. Applicant proposes to construct a new 2-story dwelling and seeks relief for reduced front yard setback. Applicant maintains that there are other 2-story dwellings in the neighborhood, and a review of the survey indicates that while the lot is conforming, it is an odd-shaped lot, and they are trying to center the house as much as possible. It passes the 5-part test. Therefore, and for the reasons set forth therein, this board grants relief, Town Code Section 330-11, for a principal front yard setback of 35 feet, where 40 feet is required for a proposed 2-story dwelling, is shown on the survey prepared by Martin Donald Hand of Hands On Surveying, dated April 20th, 2007, last revised July 8th, 2019. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicants have already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mrs. Sessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a determination in the matter of Julie Lynn Levine Revocable Trust. Property is located at 46A Old Country Road in West Hampton, is approximately 41,511 square feet in the R40 zoning district. Type 2 pursuant to SECRA. I'll read the relief at the end. Julie Levine and Dean Johnson appeared before the board and testified they seek variances in order to construct a modest addition to the dwelling. Ms. Levine testified that the house was small in size and was built in the 1880s and only has 1 bathroom. As such, the proposal to add a closet, bathroom, and living room would slightly decrease the existing setbacks of the house. Ms. Levine maintained that the neighborhood is comprised of single-family residences and accessory buildings that do not conform to the required setbacks. Ms. Levine added that she will remove the shed from the premises. This is not a certificate of compliance. There's no opposition to the application. It does meet the 5-part test. Therefore, for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-115C continuance for a principal front yard setback of 32.51 feet, where 39.7 feet is existing, and relief from Town Code Section 330-11, Residential District Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal minimum side yard setback of 17.07 feet where 20 is required, all for a proposed 1-story addition to an existing dwelling as shown in the survey by Elizabeth G. McQuicken of Lisa McQuicken Land Surveying dated September 26, 2018, last revised March 11th of 2019, and the plans prepared by Diane Harold, registered architect, dated April 3rd, 2019. The grant of the relief is conditioned upon the removal of the shed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy/compliance for the dwelling and is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval.
Second.
Mr. Sessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn. Aye. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Determination in the matter of Sea Salt Holding LLC, property located at 4 Feedak Lane, East Quogue, New York, tax map 900, 341-2, lot 66.1. I'm going to read the requested relief at the end. David Zaloof and Brian Stoller appeared on behalf of the applicant, stating that they seek variances to legalize improvements made by the prior owner without the benefit of a building permit. Specifically, Mr. Stoller explained that part of the existing deck and hot tub encroach into the side yard. Mr. Stoller maintained that there is no impact on the neighborhood as this dwelling is at the end of a cul-de-sac that serves 3 houses and there is ample screening so that the improvements can't be seen. Photographs were submitted to show vegetation on the premises. Mr. Zaloof testified that when he bought the premises 2 years ago, there was a C of O for the house and a variance from the board for the deck, though in a different configuration. This board is in receipt of an email dated August 15, 2019, from Teresa Mason, Senior Environmental Analyst, stating that the application was discussed at the Conservation Board's meeting of August 14, 2019, and that the proposal is eligible for a letter of non-jurisdiction pursuant to Chapter 325 of the Wetlands Code. Meets the 5-part test. Therefore, and for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, to legalize a wood deck. Relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for an accessory side yard setback of 9.2 feet where 20 feet is required, and Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and Town Code 330-83C yards, to allow the deck to remain within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal dwelling. And 2, to legalize the location of the hot tub, relief from Town Code 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 13.5 feet, where 20 feet is required, and Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, from Town Code 330-83C yards, to allow the hot tub to remain within the required minimum and total side yard for the principal building. These variances are for structures shown on the survey prepared by Roy D. Hunt, licensed land surveyor, dated October 28, 2017, last revised May 14, 2019. Grant of the foregoing relief is conditioned upon the applicant and any successors in interest in the subject premises maintaining the screening of the deck and hot tub, and is also subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a determination in the matter of Robert Lysak, 8 Hampton Road North, North Sea, New York, tax map number 932-212. The parcel is approximately 19,449 square feet in the R40 zoning district. Applicant took title to the premises by deed dated September 23rd, 1982. This is a type 2 action under SECRA. At the public hearing, applicant Robert Lysak and his architect William Leeds testified that he seeks to build a year-round 1,200 square foot dwelling to replace the 565 square foot bungalow that was previously used as a summer house. Mr. Leeds testified that the premise is an unusual shape and burdened by 3 front yards, making it difficult to build in a conforming location. Applicant maintained that the proposal was designed to be consistent with the character of the neighborhood and submitted photographs indicating setbacks in the neighborhood for various structures. Applicant testified that he is proposing a 24 by 32 two-car garage in order to accommodate his sailboat that requires indoor storage since it is made of composite. Applicant asserted that notwithstanding its size, the garage was only to be used for storage, and that further, he was under his allowable lot coverage. During the hearing, it was discussed that the proposed garage needed to be reviewed for its size in relation to the existing dwelling, as it is larger than a typical two-car garage. Mr. Leeds submitted a letter dated August 2nd indicating the 768-square-foot garage is 64% of the size of the 1,200-square-foot dwelling. There was no opposition to the application. Southampton Town Code 330-5 sets forth the definition for an accessory structure and provides in pertinent part that an accessory use, building, or structure is a subordinate use, building, or structure customarily incidental to and located on the same lot occupied by the main use, building, or structure. The term accessory building may include a private garage, shed, playhouse, swimming pool, and private greenhouse. This board finds that the proposed one-story garage is a customary accessory structure despite the fact that the square footage of the structure in comparison to the size of the dwelling has triggered review by this board. It remains smaller in size than the main dwelling, and the intended use is clearly incidental and subordinate. Here, the testimony was presented that the proposed structure's use is as a garage for his vehicle and boat with no habitable living space, shows that the use is subordinate and incidental. This board finds that under this set of facts and circumstances that the proposed garage is a subordinate and incidental building. This board finds that this passes the 5-part test. Therefore, the proposed one-story garage is a subordinate and incidental building, as it will be used for storage. And this board also grants the following relief from Town Code 330-11. For the proposed one-story dwelling, a principal front yard setback of 40 feet, 40.1 feet, where 60 feet is required from the westerly lot line of Rose Hill Road. And 2, a principal front yard setback of 30.2 feet to the dwelling and 25.2 feet to the covered porch attached to the proposed dwelling, where 60 feet is required from the northerly lot line, which is Hampton Road North. And 2, for the proposed one-story detached garage, an accessory distance from street setback, front yard of 30.2 feet, where 70 feet is required from the northerly lot line of Rose Hill Road, and an accessory distance from street setback, front yard of 60.2 feet, where 70 feet is required from the easterly lot line of Noyak Road. This relief is granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by F. Michael Hemmer, LSPC, November 28, 2018, last revised June 3, 2019, and the plans prepared by architect William Scott Leeds, dated February 6, 2019. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to any other conditions and permits as the applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Sessa?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Bond?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a determination in the matter of Broderick and Laterza, 14 South Bay Ave in Eastport. I'll read the relief in the end, which was modified after the original presentation. The parcel contains 44,180 square feet. It's located at 14 South Bay Avenue in Eastport, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-352-1-11, R20 zoning district, type 2 pursuant to secret. At a public hearing held herein, testimony was offered by Rob Marcinsick, attorney for the applicant, that the applicant is requesting to expand their existing home. The home has an existing pyramid violation in the amount of 912 square feet. Sorry, it should be cubic feet. It is a pre-existing structure which benefits from a certificate of occupancy. Agent for the applicant testified the existing home is already close to the lot line, and any addition to the second story will require a variance. The applicants, upon being asked, agreed to remove the cupola, which reduced the amount of pyramid relief and also eliminated the need for a height variance, which was also one of the requests. Diane DeLuca, a neighbor at 12 South Bay Avenue, submitted a letter in opposition to the application stating in sum and substance that the applicant's proposed plan would create a 4-story house because of the basement and attic, which would block her water view, which she has enjoyed for an extended period of time. Applicants additionally offered to screen the northeast side of the property with evergreens. They additionally removed the cupola and reduced the width of the basement stairs, which further reduced the amount of requested relief. The stairs were reduced from 5 feet from 6 feet, and thus eliminated an additional foot of requested side yard relief. This board, through discussions as previously applied, does not consider the attic and basement as floors, and the applicant's house, as proposed, is 2 stories, which complies with the building code for the town of Southampton. Does meet the 5-part test. Therefore, for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants relief for the following variances. Town Code, Section 330-84D, Pyramid, for a proposed encroachment of the amount totaling existing and proposed 4,589 cubic feet. 912 is existing, 3,677 cubic feet is proposed for the dwelling. Town Code Section 330-83D, yards, to allow the stairway to encroach into a required side yard setback to 6.6 feet for proposed basement staircase. These variances are granted for structures shown in a survey by Gary Benz dated July 31st, 2018, last revised July 23rd of 2019, by Architectural Plans Kerry Castle, architect, dated July 24th of 2019, last dated August 1 of 2019, and incorporated herein. The variances are conditioned upon the applicant planting evergreen screening on the northeast property line for the distance of the house, and the screening should be maintained by the applicants and all successors. The granting of this relief is conditioned on applicant obtaining any and all other relief necessary for a building permit.
Second.
Mr. DeCessa.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a decision in the matter of Robert Stabile Jr., 5 Landing Lane, East Quogue, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-343-1-57. I will read the relief at the end. This is 16,352 square feet, R15 zoning district, type 2 under SECRA. At the public hearing, the applicant, Robert Stabile, testified he would like to install a new swimming pool in his backyard, and due to the existing setback, he is unable to fit the swimming pool into the existing footprint. The applicant's parcel is constrained as it has 2 front yards. This is a burden due to the fact that whenever the applicant tried to build his pool, variances are needed. The applicant also testified most properties in the surrounding neighborhood also have swimming pools, and all are similar pool sizes that he is trying to build. He is also trying to legalize a timber shed, which Michael Benacasa said after the review, it is up and good for a building permit. There was an issue with the plastic shed that was on site. The applicant testified he is removing that shed in his condition. Passes the 5-part test, no opposition. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of Town Code. For a proposed swimming pool, 330-11, for an accessory distance from street setback of 20 feet where 50 feet is required, and 330-76D and 330-83C to allow the swimming pool to be located in the required front yard for the principal building and to legalize the location of the frame shed. 330-11 for an accessory distance from street setback of Shinnecock Road of 9.4 feet where 50 feet is required, and 330-76D and 330-83C to allow the frame shed to remain within the required front yard of the principal building. These variances are granted for structures shown on the survey prepared by Fox Land Surveying dated May 6, 2019, last revised June 20, 2019. The grant of the foregoing relief is conditioned upon the removal or relocation of the plastic shed to a conforming location prior to the issuance of a certificate of compliance for the swimming pool and shed, and is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mrs. DeCessa.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have a motion to close.
Second.
We have a second.
Second.